like either the tools or the capability to be good enough parents, right? So another like less severe system would be, instead of like, that's why I said like a license, right? Because if you go through this thing where you want to have a kid and then you go through like a course for it, you like apply and then you get approved, and then there's like a few years process where you learn how to be a good parent, and then you get to have a kid, and that way you are more likely to actually be a good parent, right? So it's less about that. I think people are irresponsible with their procreation, although that's definitely like an issue, but it's more just that I think that even if people are responsible, I mean, my parents planned both me and my sister, and they were shitty parents, right? It's like, and not because they wanted to, not because they intended it. They intended to be the best parents they could, but most people don't read psychology, and they don't get classes, and they don't do the work necessary to be a good enough parent. And I would want, like, in a perfect world, I would hope that someone is actually making sure that people who are having tiny children dependent on them, like, have the proper like training to be able to pull that off successfully, because we just don't.
You have to be a master of psychology and what, psychiatry in order to have children.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, it's not happening, but you know.
So
well, it's not just about the psychology, right? And that's kind of like why earlier I was talking about interview, for example, because like some people just have like certain personality types that probably would do very poorly with certain types of kids, right? So we would want people who are more nurturing, who are more capable of like empathy and stuff like that, you know? And some people just don't really have a very conducive personality to like treating a child well, you know? So maybe don't have a child. Maybe don't.
You can fake empathy. You can emulate it. That doesn't mean you're truly feeling it. So if somebody's adept enough to emulate certain feelings, you know, it's like people who are like autistic. They see it. They have scripts. They can emulate it when this circumstance pops up, and they can get very, you know, advanced.
Azzy, let's build.
Are they
a
allowed
bridge.
to have?
Can we build a bridge?
I'm here to build bridges.
Okay, good. Let's do like a two-directional bridge. Let
me turn my cam on too, so
no,
I
it
can
might
look
be
you
a
in the
drawbridge,
eyes.
so it's one directional.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Don't drop your drawbridge on me. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we agree that maybe people who are like who are proven to be like domestic abusers shouldn't have kids?
If they I mean, they have to have kids first. You have to have kids first in order to be a domestic abuser. So
And
that
then
means they have to have them,
You can be your
abuse
wife,
them,
it's
and
fine.
then we call child protective services.
No. You
Beating
can be
your wife doesn't mean you're going to
Fine.
beat your kids. Just because you enact physical violence against one human being doesn't mean you're for sure
agree.
going to
No,
enact
no.
physical violence against somebody else.
How would this even be enforced? Wouldn't that make sterilization the penalty for certain
It
crimes?
wouldn't be enforced because we already discussed this is like a philosophy thing, not like an.
All right. Well, then, I mean, I don't know. That can't be. It can't be like something you advocate for, and then also it's like it doesn't exist. But I mean, I don't know. I guess.
What do you mean?
Hey.
You can discuss ideas and acknowledge
No,
they're
you
not
totally-
realistic for the real world, right?
Oh,
Hey, you guys,
I
really
suppose, but
quickly,
yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I would like to share something really quick. If you guys, can you guys just click that screen?
Oh my god.
Oh boy.
I'm clicking the screen. It's loading on my end.
It's really slow.
Yeah, the stream has
Yeah,
ended.
close.
Nothing doing. I'm giving it a frowny face for how the stream go.
Yeah.
Where you
Fanatic
at,
is gone.
Fanatic?
Yeah,
You on
Fanatic
the
is
West
gone.
Coast, right?
Yeah. I guess he had an error.
On the Hawaii
Oh.
servers? No, I'm just playing with
Unless-
you.
I don't know. Fanatics back. Okay.
Okay. Weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, maybe it can't
I just
let, like,
Or was what do you think happened?
I don't know. I didn't.
Try one.
Okay, I'll try it again.
I can click that.
Okay, Cardi B admits to using
Yeah.
sex to drug man.
We're gonna play the video.
I don't know.
Okay.
We've seen.
Are you guys in? No, they haven't. Shut up.
I'm watching.
Are you guys in there?
Yeah, I'm in there.
All right, here.
Yeah.
All right, I'm pressing play. Listen to this.
You gotta go to a good studio and you gotta put in that bread. I did it with my money. So for a bitch to say that I don't motherfucking deserve it because I don't put in no fucking work. Now that's when I feel like niggas is bugging. Cause I did it myself. Niggas must have forgot, my nigga, the shit that I did to motherfucking survive. Like, I had to go straight. I had to go, oh yeah, you wanna fuck me? Yeah, let's go to this hotel. And I drug niggas up and I robbed them. That's what I used to do. Nothing was motherfucking happening to me, my nigga. Nothing. So for a bitch to motherfucking say that I don't deserve shit, that's when I know that they fucking bugging. Because they do not fucking know the shit that I had to do. You got.
Okay.
We're just.
What's your point? Everyone else gets my point. Please be quiet. So listen, I think it's really crazy to me.
Your point yet?
When do you guys get like how insane it is? Like the notion that she can literally admit that with zero ramifications. I literally used to drug niggas and rob them, and instead it's talking about how much that like this is actually used. I mean, how much she had to go through. She had to go through this. She was the victim in a situation that made her need to go drug niggas and rob them and rape them, and that's what we're supposed to be saying, and nothing happened to her.
I gave a bad take, and now I'm being held accountable. So please, can you let the men hold me accountable? Please.
Like,
I don't think that's nuts.
Yeah, it's nuts. But we're talking about somebody who's admitting to criminal activity, and the men who were the victims haven't come forward for God knows what reason, which is, it's very reasonable. Like, why haven't you come forward?
Right.
You know who, if you dealt with Cardi B, just come forward. You might lose some respect amongst other men. But it happens. And then like this happens. This is a criminal. If you're forced into a situation that's so destitute, people turn to criminal activity.
Let our new guy in, Nikolai.
So there's two things that was wrong with that situation too, in terms of getting guys to come up. It's the same thing with women. No one's going to believe them, especially if they have families too. That's going to be the first thing. You're putting them out in the wide open with today's media. They're going to get fucking slaughtered horribly, because who are people going to defend more? Are they going to defend men more, or are they going to defend Cardi B? More people are going to defend Cardi B because she has a larger following. She has more media attention. More people are going to gravitate towards her field. And then they're going to go attack the men. That's one area. And then two, the legal system's not going to do anything, because in hindsight, if it doesn't do it for men, what do you think it's going to do for women? It's going to give her 6 months of community service. It's going to have her do something minimal. That's the reason why a lot of men don't want to come forward. And also think about it too. Like, going through a trial takes forever. You have to go through various courts, you have to deal with various lawyers, and that's already a lot of time and money that you have to invest in your daily life already, on top of what's going to probably happen if you come forward. So I can understand why a lot of guys aren't going to come forward. Just like with females, it's too much of a risk when there's very little reward at the end of it, because they're not going to be punished the way we want to see them punished. They're only going to get punished.
Hold on, but I got a better
was she
point.
A prostitute? Or just like a stripper or something?
She was a stripper, but
she was a stripper.
There's almost always like a great deal of overlap whenever it comes to strippers, at least in the United States, anyway.
Okay.
But I think what's even more telling, once again, here we have a perfect video of somebody doing something that's absolutely deplorable that we need to condemn, and we're blaming men for not coming forward. This is mind-boggling. I don't understand why no one can ever see it. You can never condemn a woman without blaming a man first, even when the man is the victim. It's crazy.
But
the conversation, if I didn't blame right now, we'd be centering the conversation, and that's where it went. First an accusation, and then a justification for why men aren't coming forward.
Sorry,
that's literally
we grew up in America. This is what we do. This is a social this is the society.
Oh my god, it's crazy.
I think you just need to shift the framing a little bit, right? So just like we'd say for young black and brown men who resort to criminal activity because they're living in a racist society that puts them down, restricts their activity and their ability to pull themselves up. Women are living in the same kind of world, built by men, built by men to keep them down, to keep them in a certain subservient role. So Cardi B resorted to criminal activity to try to get out of that role. So I think you just need to shift the framing a little bit.
Wait, no, but that doesn't justify anything, because in the same situation,
not a justification.
Well, okay, good. I'm just gonna mute you. I can't. I'm sorry. But like, so in that same situation, whenever we do the things where we recognize like a man decided to be criminal, we don't justify individuals. Now, I don't think we justify the criminal activity. What we do is we condemn the criminal activity while saying these are the systems where these outcomes are more likely to occur, and we can see that these systems are problematic, while those same individuals who committed those crimes are incarcerated and held accountable by our criminal justice system. However, in this scenario, we want to try to shift the conversation to something else while she's living scot-free and there's zero accountability actually pushed on her. That's what I'm talking about. Instead, we're looking at her as the victim.
Compared to like other artists, right? Just like Cardi B, who are males who will go on and on in their songs about all the things they had to do to come up when they were living on the streets, right? And they get praised for that. People sing those songs, right? So yeah, if someone came forward, I'm sure she'd be charged. Nobody's come forward. So like, I don't know, it kind of is what it is. It's pretty stereotypical of like a musician, an artist, putting their struggle out there for the world to see, and the world lapping it up.
Yeah, except if a man made those statements, that they would probably be investigating that man to try to figure out like what actually happened and whatnot.
How many musicians are out there that talk about selling drugs in their music?
Yeah, but
coming up in the streets and like gang activity and killing people and all this kind of shit.
Yeah, and here's the other thing though, right? Like, and I would say that a lot of times when you have people like that rap about those kinds of things, like, yeah, those people are part of the counterculture, and we recognize like that there is condemnation for those individuals if they start talking about murder and stuff like that. Except for most of the time, whenever it comes to these artists, we know that a lot of this stuff is actually fake, where they're just rapping about lives and things that they didn't have. But in the cases when we do know that these things are actually true, aka Bobby Shmurda, now all of a sudden his rap lyrics are used against him in the court of law, where he's like, the investigations are done, and now he gets RICO charges, because now we can say, you actually rapped about things that you actually did. Whereas other people like Jay-Z might rap about things where there's no longer a statute of limitation, then they wouldn't be able to like trace him for it. So I can say, I sold all the crack I wanted to, because at the end of the day, you can't really get me for that stuff anymore. But if he was to rap about murders that he actually committed and they did any sort of investigation, they'd be like prosecuting this man. They would actually just go ahead and start investigating. But the thing is, when it comes to Cardi B, again, there is no social condemnation either. And I think that that's absolutely
Shouldn't there be social condemnation
of
fuck, you just said his name.
Jay-Z?
Jay-Z, that dude. Shouldn't there be social condemnation of him for talking about like selling crack into his community?
I think he has, and I think there has been.
It's one of the most famous, wealthiest people on the planet. Like,
absolutely, because guess what? He's also used all of his wealth to completely turn that thing around. Like, while I can recognize like that he's talking about what he did and it was wrong, and like what he was doing in those being born in the freaking projects, and I can see him literally going now instead donating millions to Hurricane Katrina, literally starting funds to like actually create defenses with lawyers for all of the various people who are like charged for random reasons, who are music artists. I can see him donating all of the money during the freaking protests when the police are unnecessarily pulling people over and doing all of their usurpacious ridiculousness. And I saw the him and Beyonce, bailing all of those people out of jail out of his own freaking pocket. We've seen his social activism specifically aimed at the Black community since then. And I think that those sort of things, the fact that he has been that kind of individual with his money, I think is what makes us starts to rectify some of the damage that he's done to the Black community, and his admission that he was a young man doing these things at that time. But there was at some points social condemnation for some of his actions. And I think with Cardi B, I think the difference is, one, she's not talking about these things as if these were negative things that she had to go through. She's talking about it as if she's the victim.
She was
literally crying. She's crying about the terrible things she had to do.
She was crying because she felt like the victim. Talking about what I had to go through. She was referring to it as if it was some sort of negative experience
she had to do
and the man that she drugged and raped. So then she's talking about had to do to survive sounds like a victim. So she's talking about.
So when Jay-Z says he was selling crack, is that him being a victim when he's talking about needing to sell drugs, sell crack to get by?
Most of the time, he's not talking about it.
Like
from
Cardi
a need
B's
basis.
also
He's just
donated
talking about
millions
it
to
as
charity.
just
Why don't we give her
as an effort to make his
Jay-Z
money?
has absolutely talked about how he like had to do what he had to
Been
do, right?
victimized by them.
To put food on the table because his mama wasn't doing, or his parents weren't doing it.
Come on, now.
right? He absolutely has said that.
I don't think I'm going to Google that right now. I don't think I've ever heard him say anything like that. Let me look at
And
it.
Cardi B's actually donated millions to charity.
But we're missing an important part is that Cardi B then goes and then she's in the movie Hustlers, where it's like literally about that. So it's like, you know, you can't remove that from it. Like you can't say like she regrets it, etc. And then there's like a big movie with big stars that's just showcasing that, you know.
But Cardi B has also done.
Hold on. So if Jay-Z were in a movie where he played a drug kingpin, we could say that he doesn't feel bad about needing to sell drugs to get by.
What is the movie about?
It's called State Property, and in the movie he plays a drug kingpin.
Okay, and what is the movie about beyond that? Are you going to define it by he's just a
drug? It's about rival drug dealers who are it's a real movie. It's about rival drug dealers, and he plays one of the drug dealers.
Yeah, but this is like the most broad thing ever. That's like saying like Goodfellas is about.
I don't know. Google the synopsis. You didn't give us a synopsis of Hustlers, right? Or what the full like breakdown of the movie is. You said, hey, she plays the kind of person does this sort of thing in Hustlers. Okay, so that was enough for that. So what I'm saying is, hey, Jay-Z played a drug kingpin in this movie. So how can you say that he really feels guilty then about needing to sell drugs to get by?
Because he's made music ever since that's discussing like what the black community can do better. Time has moved from whatever movie you're discussing.
Yeah, but he's been allowed to
narrative.
But he's been allowed to do that. He's been successful in that. That's what
I think. And another
that's what we
example. Yeah, we're talking about Cardi B, and it's like, let's just recriminate Jay-Z. Go ahead.
Fanatic, just before
we're just talking about
two things. One, could you stop sharing your screen? That'll be helpful. And then
sorry.
No problem. And then GSU was so kind as to give us the lyrics I was thinking of, actually, right? Where he says, an orphan, my pops left me, and often my mama wasn't home, could not stress to me. I wasn't grown, especially on nights I brought something home to quiet the stomach rumblings. Right? That's on his that track he was on with Eminem. I can't remember the name right now. But like, yeah.
Renegade? I don't know.
Renegade, yeah, Renegade. That's the track.
Yeah, so why wouldn't you say, oh, he's presenting himself as the victim? You know, he's doing these terrible things, but he's the victim.
He was raised in the projects. I don't know that he was presenting himself.
Where was
as
Cardi B raised?
I'm sorry, he was raised in the project, and I don't know that he was presenting himself in this song as a victim. This was. Let me finish the statement. Thank you, Jesus. I don't know that he was presenting himself as this being some form of justification for him selling drugs. I'm going to look and I'm going to read these lyrics myself right now, and let's see if we can actually find that thing, or if this is just some sort of what's the word, extraneous link. Let's see. Renegade lyrics, Jay-Z.
This is a crazy hell.
Yeah,
this back. Is like a valley.
The part where he's talking about stomach rumblings.
But this is to me, this is the part that's ridiculous, is that you're bringing up like Renegade, an older song, but he in the album 444, he literally talks about this. He literally has a song called Kill Jay-Z, and he talks about it. I'm going to read this. He says, kill Jay-Z, they'll never love you. You'll never be enough. Let's just keep it real, Jay-Z. Fuck Jay-Z. I mean, you shot your own brother. How can we know if we can trust Jay-Z? And you know better, nigga. I know you do. But you gotta do better, boy. You owe it to Blue, his daughter. You had no father, but you had the armor. But you got a daughter, you gotta get softer. Die, Jay-Z. This ain't back in the days. You don't need an alibi, Jay-Z. Cry, Jay-Z. We know the pain is real, but you can't heal what you never reveal. What's up, Jay-Z? You know you owe the truth.
Rap
you owe them the truth. To all the youth that fell in love with Jay-Z, you got people you love, you sold drugs to. You got high on the life that shit drugged you. You walking around like you invincible. You dropped out of school, you lost your principles. I know people backstab you, I felt bad too. But this fuck everybody attitude ain't natural. But you ain't a saint, this ain't kumbaya. But you got hurt because you did kumbaya. You gave him, and it goes on. And he just discusses this in depth. So it's like say like there isn't this like introspection he does later in his life. He does.
Mm-hmm. I think hold on. So because he put his lyrics. So because even in this Renegade zone, if you look right here, where it starts, the third line right before he gets into what he was doing there, where he says, "God event, a lot of innocent lives lost on the project bench." So even in this case, he's actually speaking about it from a sense of regret That's that accountability that niggas got. So that's the difference. Whereas Cardi B is literally talking about it like not from, oh my God, I did this wrong thing. She's talking about it from, oh my God, I was a victim. What I had to go through. This is how I made my money. This is what I did. So I earned my spot. That's what she's doing there. And again, there was literally no one who held her accountable about that. Literally admitting to drugging and robbing niggas. Same thing with the Amy Schumer case that I gave you guys earlier. Same thing with the Amber Heard case that I gave you guys early. It's so nuts. And again, we're talking about Cardi B, and the first thing we do is try to recriminate to a nigga. That's what we do every time.
Wait,
First, we sit there and accuse the men that she drugged and robbed of being weak and not being willing to come forward and attack them over that, as opposed to the person who's actually drugging and robbing these men. And then we start saying, well, okay, but let's look at other male artists. That's the first thing we do every time.
The reason male artist was brought up is because we're trying to show you that this isn't it's a parallel, right? So specifically when dealing with like musicians and artists and whatnot, they talk about all the kind of shit they had to do growing up all the fucking time, the terrible things they had to do. And it doesn't seem to me like Cardi B is presenting it as if she's proud of this. Yet it seems like she's saying that, hey, I was forced to do this kind of shit, and she seems like she's ashamed of it, and that's why she's crying.
She was saying just because Jay-Z
put the same sentiment into a song doesn't make him feel like more accountable. Right? He put into a song, he rapped about it. That's wonderful. That's great. He still did all this horrible shit to get up. Right? And I'm sure he's still ashamed of it. Right.
Sure, and I think I totally agree with you, and I think that shame is probably what motivates him towards donating all these money towards these things, towards his deal that he did with the NFL to like help them get to the point to where they would actually start like making more advertisements towards Black Lives Support. So the idea that he would bail out all these people from prison who are protesting the racial injustice in this country, the fact that his wife and him would work together to like start elevating specifically Black voices and champion the cause of Breonna Taylor and wearing Black Panther garb on their outfits.
He is 1.3 billion.
Super Bowl. I think Cardi all of his activism, that he is literally one of the most prolific activists from rap artists in the game today. I think the fact that he's done all of that, I think is plenty of restitution. I think that's where where he's rectifying this capacity happened being raised in the projects. And I think there's a total different thing from doing that and like I said, doing all this stuff to rectify, and another person saying, I did all this, I put in the work, I earned my way. So you're almost wearing it like a badge of honor that you did these things. That's the difference. And again, these things are not parallel, because once again, whenever we talk about these things, 99% of the time, we're talking about the dudes. We have clear-cut evidence of women doing these things. Instead of us talking about the women, we also talk about the dudes.
We're talking about the women because Cardi B, as you said before, and as I said earlier, does philanthropy. Well, one of those. Millions of dollars, right? So. And Jay-Z has way more fucking money than she does. And he's had a much longer career, right? So I'm sure as her career progresses, she's going to be doing more philanthropy, right? So right. I don't know why you wouldn't hold them to the same standard.
Okay, good. So if we were to talk about like drug dealing and things within the community, like and we just let that conversation go free form, I bet like the whole conversation, I remember within entertainment artists, the whole conversation would be completely centered around men. And I'll just go ahead and leave it to you guys. Can you guys name any other female artists who have done any salacious things, or do you guys only know about the men?
No, we know some female. What's her name? Like, who dated?
All right, I'll rest my case. So, Big, say you had a statement.
Biggie.
What was it?
Who dated Biggie?
That's Faith Evans, right?
Yeah, I think that was. Yeah. No, but I was gonna go off Doobie's point because Doobie, I heard you. No. This isn't an agreement. This is just something I noted with his conversation when you were talking about how she presented herself in that video as kind of on the, I forgot what it was.
That she earned it. That she earned her spot.
That she felt guilty. She felt
exactly.
Remy Ma is another one.
Yeah, someone in the chat said Lil Kim, and I was going to say Lil Kim. I think
Lil Kim. Thank you. That's the one.
But no. Going back to her video, it could also her being defensive too. Like she's trying to defend an unjust action, and that's what I'm saying. It's not her coming forward and being like, oh, I apologize, but I had to do this thing. It's more like I will justify doing a bad thing because of something that was mutual between two parties where they paid to have sex with me, bringing me back to the hotel room. It's just like with escort services, you pay them, you go somewhere, and then you go from there. And then what ends up happening is that she drugs them and robs more money of them So that could also be her coming out and basically saying, oh, what I did wasn't wrong because I can justify it because I'm this. You know, I'm a female.
She's saying it wasn't wrong.
Right, but it doesn't also. But it's also her. But it also.
You said it was mutual. What was
the transaction? The transaction between her and the males that were basically paying to have sex with her. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, wait. So if the agreement to have sex is mutual, where does the robbery fit in there?
But let me get to that point, because that's what I'm saying. She's defending her unjust actions of robbing them for more money, essentially, because what ends up happening, she drugs them and then she takes them back. The drugs hit, because drugs don't hit immediately sometimes. Everybody knows
against the law.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. To be clear, so based on what she said, it seems like she was doing this intentionally, right? She was drugging them intentionally. She probably didn't even fuck them. She was getting them high enough that they pass out, then she'd take their money, which is
exactly right, which is robbing. But
I wouldn't call that like a mutual exchange.
It's worse than robbing.
And maybe they went there with the idea that there'd be a mutual exchange, but like she wasn't into it, right?
Yeah, so she wasn't. So there wasn't anything mutual about it. She probably she basically baited them and basically baited them into drugs.
Mutual in quotations that I forgot to.
Well, why would you call that mutual about it at all? There's no mutual at all. When you drug somebody, if you drug somebody, there's no mutualness because they're drugged up. They can't respond. They have no consent.
The guys don't know that, and that's why I'm saying mutual.
That's worse. That's
even worse.
That's why I'm saying. Well, I'm not defending her here. I'm just saying.
I'm saying, like, if I'm drinking with you and I consent to drinking, and then I get fucked up, and you take advantage of me, I consented to those drugs. It's different if you drugged me, you know? Like,
I'm not saying it is.
Exactly. So if if I gave Quaaludes to somebody willingly and they took those things, you can't sit there and say, I drugged you. At that point, you willingly took those Quaaludes. This is not drugging. This is something that did, like, again, the only thing that would be bad about that is if I gave those drugs to you surreptitiously,
the
like Cardi B was doing.
And they
I drugged someone. But if I gave you something that you understood that we both were going to be, that you were going to be taking, then that's not wrong.
Oh my
totally
God.
different.
No, I gotta admit, I was gonna bring it up anyway because we're like right there.
Oh,
thank you,
guys.
guys. I see. Doobie and I are always on the same page. He gets me, bro. I like this.
But this is totally different. If you're giving somebody and they're knowledgeable of their taking of Quaaludes, it's a totally different scenario. They're complicit.
No. Let's not do it. Fanatic wants to take it someplace.
I don't
want to do it yet.
He's still wrong.
No, I'll be back in like 3 minutes.
Okay, Fanatic's always wrong. No, and
no, I'm not. So I love it. The idea that we couldn't
it too.
see
That's the best
when
part.
it came to the women again, and it's really crazy to me because again we have all of these like stories of admissions between like sexual encounters with these women with these like rape stories, but nothing ever happens to them, and I think it's really, really, really absurd. I again that Amy Schumer thing, it's really, really gross, and I think another example of a perfect coddling double standard where we're not holding women accountable for even their own bodies is where we'll say things like when a woman gets overweight, it's like, well, you know, the middle age sets in, women hold their weight differently, the childbirth makes you have to gain weight, and so on and so forth. I'd love that thing where they had that middle age spread. They said freaking Leonardo DiCaprio shows his middle age spread at a beach because he was just a little bit chunky at a dang beach, but then they said Amy Schumer shows knockout bod, flat cakes, stanky hair, and then where she's at a dang beach, it was wild as freak, and it was the most OD box shape I've ever freaking seen. I split that in there, and no one called her out. No one called her out on it. It was just like, oh yeah, no. She has a knockout bod. And it was like, what are you talking about? Who would smash this? What are we? It's crazy. And she's a rapist.
Wait, what?
Freak out of here, yo.
It would knock me out if she fell on me. That's what I'm saying. So.
Facts!
What are y'all doing right now? That's terrible.
Hey. Like, I don't want to get into this body shaming thing, right? I don't like body.
Well, why can't we body shame men?
I just said
we don't.
I just said I don't like to body shame men. So let's not knock it off with body shaming women, okay? Let's just knock that off.
I think it is. I totally take those comments back. I'm sorry. It is kind of unfair of me. I guess maybe what I was doing was just probably in theory I'm taking accountability again. What I was doing was like doing what the media had done when they were like attacking Leonardo DiCaprio. I got to get better. I got to get better at this. I'm gonna learn to woman, okay? And when I mean learn to woman, I'm not saying I'm gonna become trans. What I mean is I'm gonna go ahead anytime that I do something wrong. I'm gonna go ahead and start saying to y'all niggas like, well, you know, honestly, I don't really feel like what I'm doing is wrong because like look at what the media did. See, the media actually was attacking him, and that they did it first. And all I'm doing is just parroting back to her what really happened because the media was all in her favor, right? I just should never take any accountability anymore. The rest of this conversation, I'm gonna try. Again, I'm a male, so I've been indoctrinated and inculcated with the values of self-condemnation. But I'm gonna try my best to female. You'll see me. I'm gonna try.
Pray for Fanatic. One like equals one prayer for Fanatic. This man has been hurt. This is beyond reason. These are emotions.
Did you have anything
$10 to get
previously?
This is I don't know, man. Yeah, I guess people are unfair. Women get special treatment in ways that they're women. That's true. It's all true. I mean, I don't know. People. I've always heard that people, in music, they'll be like, I did this and I sold that and then I shot that guy. Maybe if you killed somebody and you confess to it in a song, yeah, you should be held accountable. I don't know. People are always rapping about like their, I don't know, not all, but selling drugs and stuff. And Cardi B's saying that she robbed some dude, which is obviously robbery and is terrible. But I don't know. What do you want, man? I mean, what do you really want? What do you want to see happen? What's your goal?
Oh, I got you. It's real simple. What I want is like verbal condemnation for those actions, and I want them to stop trying to justify. Like, well, this is a system that she was brought up in. In reality, this is just like whatever. I want there to be more condemnation, and it's not
a jail or something. You just want people to be like, fuck her.
Sure. Well, actually, to be honest with you, yes. I think if you've been drugging and robbing people, I think there probably should be investigations once you give those kind of admissions the way they would do with niggas. And then at that point, now that we get this investigation, we can actually discover that you did actually because don't act like all these cases are 100% cold. Like they can't figure out any of these people that have done any of these things, and don't act like this hasn't been something that has been done.
Well, they can
countless male artists, where because of the lyrics of their song, they've literally created RICO cases against them and done investigations into them to find out all the dirt that they've done and actually criminally charge them using the lyrics of their music. Here we have a video admission of drugging and robbing by Cardi B and literally no investigation, literally no social condemnation, nothing. That's the difference.
There has been social There was plenty of rhetoric. There was plenty of conversations on multiple platforms about whether or not Cardi B should lose her money, lose her status, what she should do. There was. He just wasn't paying attention. Probably can't hear me anyway. Like I just don't. I was there when the conversation happened.
Very entertaining discourse for like.
It was a great discourse.
Yeah,
we all knew. Even when Tory shot Megan Stallion in the foot, and then there was a discourse about that. Is she lying? Is she telling it? Allegedly, but Tory's streaming on Twitch. So you never know. But matter of fact, no. There's evidence. They found evidence. They found like the gun casings, and it was in her foot. So yeah, he did shoot her in the foot. But like. There is the discourse happening. There is the social shaming. He just wants it at the level of scale. He wants it at parity. He wants it at parity.
Okay, so Fanatic, right? Then we can arrest Jay-Z, correct?
What? So if those things weren't beyond the statute of limitations and stuff like that, probably. But the thing is,
sorry, not can, should.
If he was admitting to these things and
did.
Well, I'm sorry. If these things were within the statute of limitations and stuff like that, I would say it's fine. And I will say also that I'm going to make a clear distinction here, and I'll say this is where the difference is. When you're dealing with the drug dealers and stuff like that, well, I obviously think it's a terrible thing to do. I would look at it and I would say, unless you were intentionally drugging people against their will, I think that these things are wildly different. I think there's a wild difference. I'm sorry. I love the fact that somebody. I love the fact that somebody can say "wow" to the idea that there's a marked difference between giving people drugs that they want and drugging people surreptitiously against their will. We can't see a difference between those two things. I don't think we're in the same freaking talking point.
Fanatic.
Holy smoke!
Okay, get the fuck off your high horse. I can see a difference between them. Yes, I can recognize the specific perniciousness of selling poison in your community. Yes, I know that's a very unique thing, very disgusting thing that drug dealers do. Yes, thank you for that, Fanatic. It's a unique thing that Jay-Z was part of. So then, yeah, he should be arrested for that. Correct?
Damn,
right?
you're that anti-drug man.
For society to get a person like that off the street.
Poison in the community.
Yeah, exactly. Poison in the community. Spreading crack in the community. That's absolutely fucking poison in the community.
If I looked at some of y'all guys' anime watch list, I could be talking about poison in the community.
Somebody on my stream, please give me a counter for every time we're talking about Cardi B and somebody decides to bring up a male counterpart in the recrimination. Someone give me a counter. This is so insane.
We were there when the discourse happened, and we agreed.
No, shut. You can try to keep shifting it, right? That's fine, right? Because you can't go to this point. You can't go to this point, and it's okay. It's okay, right?
I did.
Clearly,
I already dealt with it.
Clearly. So then we can see that yes, individuals do bad things, right? Individuals engage in bad behavior, and we can condemn all of that. We can condemn Jay-Z for this.
But we don't. There was no verbal condemnation of Cardi B.
Yes, we do.
That's my
Yes, we
problem.
did. Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Who? Where? When?
First of all, you got on Twitter right there, showed us a tweet talking about Cardi B is a fucking rapist, right? Rob and rape these individuals. They got 30 people talking about it. We got us talking about it, condemning it. Not a single person here.
You did do that, but was it wrong though? That's the other point. Like,
not a single person. Not a single person here is defending Cardi B's actions. Not one, right? So we're all providing that.
You did. You defended it already when you guys were saying, "Well, actually, let's focus on." I mean, okay, well, maybe not you. I'm sorry, maybe not you specifically, but there have been several defenses already levied in her defense. In her defense already. Number one, the first thing was specifically, oh, well, what about, in reality, it's the men's fault. They should be coming forward. That's number one. Defense number two. Well, I mean, she was raised in poverty and things like that. So that was defense number two. Defense number three. Well, I mean, look, she's obviously expressing sorrow about this thing when she's bragging about it. Defense number four. Well, I mean, in reality, men do this thing all the time. Look at all the male artists that do all these things. What are you talking about? It's not defended. Everything you're doing is defending it everywhere. What?
I'm not defending anything here. So,
no, okay, anything.
No, I didn't say you. I'm saying the space. 4 defenses that I just listed right now that can directly contrast against you making the statement that nobody here is defending it. You guys are doing nothing but defending it. You guys, the place, the space. Well, all I'm doing is trying to get everybody to condemn it, and everyone's doing everything they can to justify or belittle it by saying, "Well, niggas do this stuff all the time." What about Jay-Z? Y'all can't take your mind off of it.
I don't do.
It's crazy.
Women do the men hate. I don't do women hate. I don't do that. I'm not petty enough. I'm not petty.
The video wasn't given in Discovery.
Where did she ever admit to raping anyone though? Like, where's that coming from?
Well, I mean, I guess the idea was that if they were going there for sex and so on and so forth, and then she drugs them and all that nonsense, then I guess that's where the idea comes from.
No, you're assuming.
Well, wouldn't it be rape if she never had sex with them?
It's not rape, right? Rape is like actually forced sex. She never had sex with them. She solicited them as a stripper, saying, "Hey, you want to pay to have sex with me?" Which is soliciting prostitution. They said yes. They go to a room. She drugs them, robs them. That's not rape.
And then she dips. Yeah.
And also, I gotta be honest, amongst like rappers, and I'm not trying to obfuscate, but amongst rappers' admitted crimes, dude, that is so fucking low on the totem pole.
Common.
It doesn't matter if it's low or high; it's still a crime.
Yeah, come on, man.
It doesn't matter on the level; it's still a crime, and you're defending it.
So again, now what it is
you're another one person defending.
Let's demonize the victims of this robbery and this drugging. Let's demonize the victims and say, "See, they were gonna pay her for whatever." And so now we'll find another way of justifying what the freak she's doing.
Yeah.
Y'all niggas can't help yourselves. You don't stop. No one ever holds women accountable. I think this conversation is so perfect, I'm clipping it. Holy smokes! So first, let's attack the men for not coming forward. Then let's attack the men for, well, I mean, in all fairness, they were going to pay her for sex, so that's awful. She's the one offering the sex to them. Number 3, we're going to sit there and, well, let's compare her to other niggas. Like, literally every defense, y'all are just running it. It's crazy.
Look, I said from jump, I defend it because I don't think it's a big deal to rob a dude who's gonna pay a chick for sex. I think
boom, there we go. No accountability. Perfect example. Thank you.
They're breaking the law anyways. Wait a minute. Wait a fucking minute. These guys are breaking the law anyways. They're breaking the law by buying sex. So maybe they fucking deserved it.
No, they're not.
This
is a comment.
I'm blaming. I'm gonna
hold on.
So fucking hard.
You gotta put a common conversation on Clubhouse.
That argument is real.
They took drugs from a prostitute. Like, come on.
They paid for sex. That alone, they should be. They deserved it. They were asking for it. They fucking paid for sex.
Well, if you're gonna say they paid for sex and they didn't get it, so
no, hold
on.
If she was an escort, if she was a legal escort. And she was doing prostitution.
I don't care if she was a prostitute.
Listen, paying for box is a thing people do since the beginning of time.
She was not a legal escort.
Maybe they should have not been paying for sex if they didn't want to get what they got.
All I
You're
say is
right.
bless those men's
I feel like Stardust
talking about
find
misogynist
real,
going
they
on right
couldn't
now.
get it the
I'm gonna tell you what's
natural
really
way.
happening. I feel like Stardust is like literally intentionally trolling and doing this so that way it doesn't look so. I get you, but so now this way by her doing that though, it doesn't make it. It makes it less obvious that everyone else was doing that.
Dust from my star.
Everyone else was genuinely defending her. She's doing so as a joke and trolling and whatnot. But you guys have been running the defense for Cardi B this whole time.
No. I'm the one who brought it up initially, and I said they haven't come. They haven't.
Okay, but is there anything wrong with the stance that unironically, morally, they were paying for sex, so they deserved it?
That is completely just.
No, so I don't agree with that.
They haven't pressed charges, so you can't do anything.
Paying for sex is bad, guys. Especially knowing that it's illegal.
You're right. It is bad. I got another video. Can we run this real quick? Oh God! Yo, I gotta hear the defense on this.
Before we go forward, can we agree that paying for sex, especially when it's illegal and unregulated, is bad?
Yes.
It's illegal, and I think sure. I think it's bad.
Turn to some chick, some woman working at a grimy ass strip club, flipping out a wad of money from her in front of her and saying, "Hey, get on my dick," is pretty immoral.
Okay, all right. So
I think they deserve it. I think they got it.
This is wild.
They fucking asked for it.
We're watching the thing, so shut up, everybody. All right, so please.
Here we go.
Movie.
You indulge
I'm gonna take him out. We're gonna get drunk. I'm gonna get him all perked up and everything. We're gonna have a good time. Get him super twisted. Then bring a bitch around. We're gonna have a threesome.
Sound like
and when he wakes
Tiny
up,
and
he's gonna be like, "What the fuck?" Yeah, because the bitch was a tranny. I'm be like, "Yup, we had a threesome with a tranny. Yup, a tranny suck your dick. You don't gotta fucking."
So
Wait,
I haven't seen that one.
Please press replay.
Hold on.
I know.
Fanatic.
Come on, y'all. Really?
Trans woman or woman should just more inclusive than you are. Okay.
Wait. But the fact is, wait. In the beginning,
No,
she said, "I'm gonna perk them up."
Wait a minute.
She said, "I'm gonna perk them up and drug them up."
I'm not even joking. Okay. If you know that you're paying for money from an industry where you know majority of the people in that industry are being coerced into it or are living in horrible conditions, or working in horrible conditions.
That's really not the case. I'm sorry.
Maybe.
Stardust. No, Stardust. I don't want to do this because this is a separate conversation. I will argue against you on this specific point because I think this point is nonsense.
Look, unironically, I think they deserved it.
That's great.
I think they deserved it.
Fantastic. Okay, but on this note, right? So Cardi B.
It's Morbin time.
That's great. Thank you. Cardi B comes in on this note and she says that and if I got the clip right, because people were talking for some fucking reason, but this individual is saying that she would have parties with people, right? And they would offer a threesome, and then one of the individuals would be a trans woman, and they would be drugged out.
Hold on. She said she would specifically perk them up. She said perk them up and drug them up, and then the rest of your conversation. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What happened to poisoning in the community?
Poisoning in the community. Sorry. Why does that relate?
You were saying drug dealers, they poison their communities and such.
Yeah. So I'm saying, I'm trying to.
There's more consent with that than in this.
Hold on. I'm literally just recapping what was said. That's all. I'm just making sure I understand what happened. That's it.
Mm-hmm. I'm waiting. I haven't said anything. I'm listening.
I'm just asking to make sure I understand what the fuck is going on so that we can go from there. Sure. At least said nothing else. I know it's right. Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. So, so drug them, and then Cardi B offered a threesome with these individuals. And then one of the individuals was a trans woman. And but the only thing is, I don't understand the point of this. This is just to fuck with them, or is this
nonsense.
Part of the robbing part?
That's why I asked him to play it again.
She's just a demon. She's a demon. Only a demon would do something like that.
She's a demon.
So we gotta lock her up because she's a demon.
If you're gonna sit here and try to tell me it's not outright. If you're not gonna sit here and be willing to admit that it's not outright evil to drug somebody, then bait them into sexual experiences with people that they wouldn't otherwise do, which is definitely rape.
Absolutely
And to
right.
raping people, it's
agree.
absolutely evil.
I
and
agree.
the fact that I know that you are, Prime, but the fact that like that Chris here is sitting here like, I don't know, bro. Like, I mean, really a evil? Really a demon? Is it really like that? Like, it's nuts to me. That's
no.
We can't justify. So now we're past just the drugging. Now we're to the rape. So when I said that she's drugging, raping, and robbing individuals, yeah, she's guilty of all three. Now, do we got proper evidence for that?
Is it rape if a
I'm not doing it. Stop. No, not right now, bro. Not right now.
Let me ask a question. Let me ask a question.
Come on.
Let me ask a question because it doesn't seem like there's force, right? So the rape thing would be there being a trans person involved and the guy getting his dick sucked not knowing about it. Like, is that rape?
Yes, it's rape by deception. Yes,
it's rape because he got drugged.
Why are we indulging
that's
this
not
clip?
consent.
Where's the full
it's
video?
Just like, it's just like it's not quite stealthing. It's that other thing where like a man and woman are in the room, right? He's inside the woman, she's turned the other way. He moves out and his homie comes in and she doesn't realize it, right? At the time, right? Like that's rape. She did
I don't think that could
engaged in sex.
Yeah,
that,
but
she didn't consent to, right? Like she consented to sex with the one guy, not the other guy.
Oh,
right?
Ghostbusting.
So like,
I just made that shit up.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that sounds right though.
But that'd be something similar, right? That like did not consent with this particular person or this type of person. If you had known that it was this type of individual, that you wouldn't have consented to it, like, right?
Right. That's right.
But the thing to me is that her intent was to drug somebody in order to rob them.
And get them in a sexual
That's
encounter
the
that they wouldn't
intent.
otherwise have gotten. Yeah.
That's the intent, to rob them while under the influence of being drugged. She even said it multiple times, multiple videos. She even said it her own self.
And she's a villain.
I want to drug you to get your money. That's
she's a
the
villain.
Intent.
Yes, we all agree.
So let me just make sure we're crystal clear here now. So now we admit Cardi B is a drugger. She's drugged men. She's raping them, and she's robbing them. Right? She's done all three now. So you guys recognize that the rape is just not completely.
Well, I would say she's facilitating their rape, but she's not directly raping them. But definitely.
Hold on. But we're talking about this clip that he just played, right? This clip.
Now I guess if we know that she.
No, I'm not trying to be semantical. I'm just
Well, I mean that is because if you're part of that, right? In this situation, she's there with the other woman. She's part of that sex act, even if there's no penetration. She's part of the sex act.
She's part of the. She's a rapist.
So this is actually kind of murky territory.
They call that an accomplice, right? Accomplice.
Yeah, it's an accomplice to a crime. Which is
We're not doing this right now, are we?
You all see how difficult it is? Like, well, I mean, she's not technically a rapist. She's an accomplice. Like, it's
this is what Katie was talking about. Taking data and then
Fanatic. I was just
interpreting it
referring
in the
to what
way
he
you
was
want
saying.
it
I know you are. I know you're not Spaniard. I'm just saying it's just like the fact that we have to go into the minutia. We got to go into the fine details. Like,
because the devil is
now it's
always
kind
in
of like
the
that's what we're
details.
doing here. It's really
Sometimes the
simple.
truth
She
is.
admitted that she set niggas up to get raped. Come on.
Let me say this real quick. So one, the reason I said it's not demonic is because I think that's a stretch too far. It's definitely evil. I think that it's morally depraved behavior. But like within the full context of rap, like, and the shit that I've heard from rappers, it doesn't like make me go, oh shit. Like literally the idea, first of all, in some circles, if you say that a trans woman is obligated to tell you she's trans, they'll call you a transphobe. So that's not something that's objective. That's subjective. Now, I'm on the side that thinks you have to come forward and tell. But you can't say that to every single person. They'll call you a transphobe and have a whole logic.
Call me a transphobe. Call me a transphobe. I'm going to say point blank. I got you. I just want to make sure that it's crystal clear now that you've introduced that into the conversation, and so we don't go down that rabbit hole. It's really simple. If you're ever trying to engage in sexual encounters with someone and you're hiding information that would be disqualifying, specific things that are related to the sexual act, it is rape by deception. And so, for example, if you hide that you are like HIV positive from a person, and you know that they wouldn't have sex with you if they knew that you were HIV positive, that is rape by deception. If you lie to a person and give them like specific means to make them want to have sex with you that they wouldn't otherwise, that's rape by deception because they can't consent because they're not aware of the information and you're aware and you're withholding information that would be like disqualifying. So any person who doesn't reveal their gender is raping someone by deception. If you're a co-conspirator or taking part in that sex act, you are a co-rapist by deception. She's a rapist. That's what she did. It's that simple. And any person try to call me a transphobe for saying that I'm not willing to have sex with a transgender person because that's not my preference is absolutely ridiculous. And I'll own that. I'm not willing. Call me whatever the freak you want to. I'm not playing that game. She's a rapist and it's disgusting.
But she didn't rape.
Okay, so just hold on, Doopy, please. So, like, for example, there are some countries where prostitution is common, and so is being a transsexual. And so, like, if you go to one of these countries, and I think they call them like lady boys. If you go to one of these countries and you end up with one of them, people are gonna have a weird conversation with you about whether or not, if you say, "Oh, I was raped," like I went there, I paid for a prostitute, it turns out it was a trans, I was raped. Like, yeah, you kind of were, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily carry the same weight as actual, like, oh, this was unwanted sex, someone held me down, I would, trigger warning. So it's like, versus, oh, I went to a strip club, I got drunk, she propositioned me, I said yes, went back to the hotel room, they got me wasted, and little did I know, one of the people giving me head was trans. That's like, rape carries such a strong connotation that to me, I agree that it's technically rape, but calling her a rapist just, that's why I felt
in the clip itself, you can't say that because in the clip itself, she shows her intent. So her intent was to mislead them. It's not like
her intent was to rob them. If she had if she had that's why.
We're talking about the second clip. To be raped. The second clip. Hold on now. We need to ask very important questions. Is the person complicit in going? Because people go to these weird events, these swinging events where they're like going to sex raves and they don't know who they're having sex with, but they're going there and they're doing it. In fact, it's like a #1 video on like somebody's TikTok. Where somebody said, I once went to an event and I didn't know who I was having sex with, and then I woke up.
Okay, a sex
people
rave
do stuff
or
like this
event.
all the time. So
they're volunteering themselves to those events. They're volunteering and they know what's happening there.
We're talking about the hip hop community. I've heard things.
Trans person on purpose.
Yeah.
Wait, she said, "Oh, okay, no, that's rape. That's okay. I didn't hear that part. That's my bad."
Yeah,
no, that's.
All right, but does the person know they're gonna get perked up? Do they know they're gonna get drunk or drugged up or whatever she said? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm asking.
No. She's made it quite clear that she was robbing them. They had no idea.
She said it before. I think we can make the reasonable inference. I think
isn't that the first clip?
That, I know, but like it's the same MO, right? So I think we make the reasonable inference that when she's taking a dude back to have sex with them and then drug them, right? That also she's gonna rob them as well, right? So in the second clip, she's also sexing them, drugging them, and then doing something that she knows they're gonna like, right? So we can also make the inference that she probably robbed them. I don't think that's too big of a leap to make. I want to let
these are complimentary videos. It's the same. You said it's the MO. They're not different events.
I know. I think there might be different events, but I'm saying that we can make the reasonable inference that that she also robbed in the second incident as well.
So that's what I'm saying. Before we make that inference, we need to confirm that these things are related events. Before this might be one of them tiny TI swinger events.
Okay, or even if it's not, then it's a separate like assault. As our friend Fanatic was trying to point out. Well, let's go to Doobie.
I was just gonna suggest that the beautiful men in here turn on the cameras. Seeing as we're all on camera.
I'll turn on mine when you turn on yours.
So listen,
it's on right now.
Here's a really crazy comparison. There was a dude, and he made a song, and he said in one of the parts of the lyrics of his song, he made the statement. The line was, "Dropped a Molly in her drink, and she ain't even know it."
Rick Ross.
Yes, sir.
I had to wait a few seconds. I didn't want to answer too fast.
Didn't Robin Thicke have his own song about that too?
I don't listen.
Yeah, that was Blurred Lines. Yeah, he got in trouble for that song though.
Wait, Blurred Lines. Show me the lyrics. I'm not saying that. The thing is, there was immediate backlash over that. Immediate. He had to retract it and so on and so forth, right? Just over the lyrics of a song. This isn't even a song. She's just admitting to the things that she's done. She's admitted to these things and there's nothing. help me. And look how many loops we gotta go. I mean, how many hoops we gotta go through where it's just like, okay, so she's a rapist. It's like, well, I mean, technically speaking, if we go to another country, then maybe it might not be. And you gotta think about it. I mean, remember where she was raised. And also, like, these dudes are trying to have sex with her. I mean, is it really fair that a person doesn't want to have sex with a transgender person? I mean, in reality, I don't know if that's rape. Rape is too serious a word. Like, everything to avoid just saying Cardi B's a rapist.
No,
she's crazy.
She's a rapist.
I just rewatched the video. I didn't realize she was talking about revenge. That had nothing to do with robbing men. She was just straight up, I'm gonna get back at him by making him have sex with me.
By raping him.
Right.
She's a rapist.
Okay.
She's crazy.
He's right.
Yeah, the intent
we didn't even
was
get a bop
huge.
out of it, you know? Like, we don't even got, like, if
No,
we had a
shut
bop out of it, we could, like, relate it back to, like, at least we got.
No.
See, I think that's how they all get out of it. They just gotta make songs about it. That's all they gotta do.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I see Fanatic's point. I get why you're so upset. If a male made anything like that, like, there's a way to get back at a woman, you know what I'm saying? You just... Yeah. What the fuck?
Oh, the news media would have had a hell date with that man if they did the same thing.
I've heard a lot of wild stuff.
Destroyed.
No, instead, we would probably even get a dude for literally just slanging a dick, but not slanging a dick well. Like what happened to RYYZN, sorry, right? Where it's just like, I had a sexual encounter with somebody, and then all of a sudden she says, I didn't really enjoy that. And that, you know what? That nigga should be considered a rapist. That should be an assault or something, because I didn't even enjoy the dick. That's enough. That's enough, right? Or you got Louis C.K. situations where it's just like you ask somebody, ask another adult.
Well,
is it okay if I go ahead and stroke myself real quick? And it's like,
I don't.
Sure.
I know,
and it's like, now you're a rapist. What are we doing, bro?
Me with Aziz, I'm sorry. I do not defend Louis C.K. That's.
I'm not defending that nigga. I'm not defending him. I'm not defending him.
It was not wrong, man.
I don't know enough about the Louis C.K. I don't defend that nigga anyway because he uses the hard R, and that nigga can go ahead and miss me. And Chris Rock let him get away with it. But my point being, the thing is, for the reason why I'm saying it's so bad is because, like, in this case, you got like cases where it's a little nebulous. The fact that I literally asked for permission, so I got your consent before doing so, and we still were willing to cancel that nigga. But we can't cancel Amy Schumer when she's an admitted rapist. We can't cancel Cardi when she's an admitted rapist. I don't know what's going on.
The problem with Louis C.K. is all the women he asked were his subordinates. So
they were not subordinates. They were not. That's such bullshit. That's so stupid.
Fine.
That's not true at all.
I don't want to defend it.
You had no like relationship like through employment occupation or some shit. They were simply like, you could call them, I don't know. They were just like performers. He was a performer. They were performers. He had no like power over them.
From my understanding, that's literally not true. Like one of them, for example, he caught her in the elevator and just started doing it.
Caught her in the elevator?
Yeah, like it was his intent to do it to her in the elevator. You have to understand, he followed Louis C.K.'s humor. Also, you have to understand,
we really defended Louis C.K. to get Cardi B. This is how depraved we're to prove a point. We all know she's a villain.
Yeah. Okay. So
no, she's a rapist. She's a rapist.
Okay,
she's a rapist.
So all right. So if no one's denying it, so we already got there, right? So like, Truth has admitted that she's a rapist. Everyone here on the panel, I think, right, Doobie, you believe she's a rapist?
Oh yeah, she's a rapist for sure.
Oh yeah. I have a question. I'm like, all right, so you guys were talking about like if you say something in your music, you should be condemned if it's within the statute of limitations. So then when artists talk about how depressed they are and how suicidal they may be, so should they be committed?
Ooh. I think they should be recommended psychiatric help, not actually not the institution, but a person.
We should recommend that these rap artists
can help them.
Please, can we?
They should be canceled.
Well, I don't think.
Can we still focus on the women accountability? Can we still do that? It's gonna shift. It's so hard. I get it.
Do women hate with my male friends?
Why is it so hard?
It was a terrible point any which way. Don't worry.
Hey, Fanatic, check out the VC chat real quick.
So, all right, we can focus on the women accountability. All right, so I think
Fanatic.
I think if you're saying that level of vitriol, aimed at a person like Cardi B for saying the things that she has, the fact that her career didn't just end, for doing that, and I'm sure maybe other stuff that I'm aware of. I don't follow these things. That's unfair. Then okay, I think we all agree on that. So great, we got Cardi B. What else is there on this point, right? So like
Amy Schumer.
Okay, so then here I got another point for us. Then let's talk about since I don't know, I feel like it's too early to bring it in. Like, I'm trying to help you guys get to a better place so that you guys are actually able to receive the meat that I'm trying to give you guys. Pause. I'm saying that, like, ultimately, we got to get to a point where I'm trying to make a Jesus reference. It just doesn't sound right coming out of my mouth, right?
Just don't drug nobody, fanatic.
I sure wouldn't. But, like, here,
that was another example that I sent.
Okay, this is what I'll say. I'm just gonna go ahead and go there. I hope you guys have been like sufficiently ready. Just prepare your mind. Just try to sit with me in a moment where the whole focus here is about accountability. Okay, and we're all about being accountable for men and for women. Okay, the whole goal right now is just to talk about the idea that when you do something bad, you should be punished for it, and there should be some sort of accountability. Okay. When there are wrongful rape convictions or wrongful rape accusations where people are literally going out of their way to intentionally make up lies about people about rape, there needs to be some sort of punishment for these people that goes beyond just a perjury. And I think especially, and I think what we're seeing right now is that reluctance in any other case, the idea of attempting to ruin or completely destroy another person's life would be met with criminal intent, right? Any other thing, if you attempted to sabotage their business, libel, all those kinds of things. But now when you have this thing, something like a rape accusation, in a world where social media and cancel culture is rampant, we now recognize that people have the means to ruin your life with an accusation. We saw it in Johnny Depp. And if we see these things and we know these things, how about we start holding more people accountable? And the accountability in this case is to say that there should be some sort, and I'm not saying it's got to be absurd, some sort of increased punishment for false rape accusations. Or do you think because most false rape accusations come from women that this is maybe the reason why we haven't moved towards criminalizing this specifically?
I think there's too many legal hurdles because it's one thing to not be able to prove something true. It's another thing to prove something a lot. Like if you can prove, and even then you can't. Like
you'd prove intent the same way you do with literally everything else. Perjury is underneath the bar of proving
The reason they're soft on that is I believe I had it explained to me. I had the same take that you did, Fanatic. It was like it was supposed to be that it acts as a deterrent. So it acts as a deterrent for people to come out and like claim something happened to them because they'll feel the fear.
No, that doesn't make any sense, because if that's the case, then the threat of perjury is a deterrent from anyone cooperating with the police or actually just coming up with any stories as well. Or the threat of libel is a deterrent enough to like stop people from making accusations about people, right? But it's not because the libel and things like that are only when you can prove that a person is intentionally lying, and that's why you don't see very many libel cases. That's why you don't see very many people even got for perjury, because it's really hard to prove intent when it comes to perjury. And I would say in the same case, when we have clear examples of people lying with intent to try to sabotage a person's career, like they did to Michael Jackson, like they did to Bill Cosby, when we have these kind of examples, or okay, maybe you don't like those two particular people.
No, Michael Jackson is fine. No, actually, not Michael Jackson. No, in fact, you know what? I'm sorry, I don't want to fight.
Aziz Ansari.
Aziz
Ansari.
Yeah,
Aziz Ansari is a good
agree
example
on that one. All right.
So you can't justify the nigga that they had private FBI investigations in with unplanned raids into his house and were able to unable to justify anything. I'm talking about Michael Jackson in this case, or the part where he literally went and decided to fight these things in trial and beat all of those trials and all that stuff. I guess you're right. Now let's not use Michael Jackson.
Hold on. I'm a massive Michael Jackson fan, right? And I want all that to be false. I don't know enough about it to fight on it. That's why I'm saying I don't even want to. That's it.
I do. I got you. I do. And that's why I'm using Michael Jackson. But it's okay. If you're not comfortable with Michael Jackson, it's all right. I won't. Okay? So that's fine. Now, I don't know. I know you don't know a lot about Cardi B either. And we still beleaguered that conversation when it came to her condemnation. But that's fine. So we should probably look at just in any of these cases where we've used these false accusations, and we should be able to say if we can prove intent. For example, I just found out about this case yesterday, the Rico Strong case, where that person literally lied. And they had to be exonerated exonerated by like a baby cam or something that was sitting there that recorded the whole interaction, that therefore like showing that she was actually lying about this kind of case, right? There should be some sort of punishment for this. False accusations are problematic. Thankfully, South Korea actually got their act together and recognized, yo, we got to do something about this. It is problematic right now when we're in the Me Too culture and you got Amber Heards and white women all around abusing this criminal justice system in order to like try to like attack black men. It's happened all the way since Emmett Till. It's never gone away. I don't know why we can't see this for the systemic problem that it is and actually address something to stop these women from abusing this system and just destroying people's lives. Right. But we can't hold women accountable. That's why. If we can't get Cardi, a known rapist, like if we can't get that one, I know I'm not going to get you guys on the rest of it.
Right. So I'm going to give you guys something. Let me give you guys some info real quick. How many months do you think someone in California gets arrested for false accusations?
Probably low, very low.
Like no idea. Please just say it.
6 months. Low 6 months. 6 months. It's a misdemeanor in California.
Link it.
I'll link it real quick. But yeah, I was just looking it up on the side right now. Because so one of the main issues that I would wait, what's up?
I was gonna ask you, is it 6 months Cook County or is it 6 months prison or what is it?
So this is based off. I'm gonna link the article. I'll link. Can I link it in the Twitch chat too?
How many people on average serve the full sentence?
He said
we usually link in voice chat when we have stuff to show.
I put it in general, but I don't know if I can link it in the Twitch chat.
VC chat.
VC chat? Okay.
I actually need to get going, but I just want to say really quickly that Fnatic is right about Michael Jackson, actually. You guys really should look into
it. Oh, yeah, we've been on that, yeah.
Yeah, I need to get going, guys.
So yeah,
and OJ,
No, you're not right about OJ. You're not right. Fuck you. You're not right about OJ.
You haven't. Okay, I'm waiting on you to do the research on that one too. You'll come around to the truth. It's fine.
No.
A conspiracy theory thing is going on here.
But for Fnatic's though, one of the
I did do it. Come on, son.
One of the big problems that I've always at least argued for is the fact that women do not actually even serve these prison sentences, because the conviction rate for women that actually get in jail, whether it's this misdemeanor or whatever other state that has these defamation laws, they don't get prison as much in return. We see guys get in prison for 25 plus years for all these rape false accusations. They get what in California 6 months? I'm sorry, but like I've gotten to an extreme that said they should serve half the time that they had to serve. Because you're ruining someone's life on the basis of a lie. That's 40. Like I saw the article that was in the VC chat. That's 45 years. That's half a century that you're stuck in jail, knowing that you're innocent.
I don't think that's how it should work, man. I don't think it should.
I think we equate lying. I don't think we equate lying.
You know, because like you could have this instance where it's like that. Literally, that would be a deterrent. Then at that point. Whereas like if you separate these crimes, it'd be different. It'd allow people to be charged separately simply because
Yeah, so
but
I'm gonna back up Wiggle here. Because like it's like the crime of rape is special, right? It's different. When people are reporting this, it's different in how people think about it. It's different how society treats it. It's different how a person experiences it if they are fortunate to experience it. It's just different, right? That's why we just don't call it like physical assault, right? Like you opt for rape. Sometimes people come out with less injuries than physical assault, maybe with no injuries, right? But we still say that this is something special. And something extremely damaging, okay? And in our society, women the truth is that they are scared of reporting this for a variety of reasons, right? That are separate from anything else that we've discussed so far, but they are scared. So on top of that, yeah, men too, fair enough. So on top of that, adding when they're facing a criminal justice system that is not that is can be oftentimes hostile to them, right? If you say, like, can you imagine a prosecutor who doesn't like prosecuting these cases coming up to a woman is like, okay, look, I'll do this, right? But just so you know, if you're proven to be a liar, then you're gonna get like 12 years, right? How many cases won't happen? Period. Because of that, right? Like
I don't think many people.
Like, does that please?
No, that's a
makes
fair
sense,
point,
right?
because
No, I don't
I
think
think it'll be less of a problem with like average people, but powerful figures will definitely get away with more rape because like the intimidation factor of, oh, this person can, you know, have use their connection. Yeah. So
That's
money buys them out of the get out of jail free card. Their money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? Yeah. Sorry, Fanatic. Would you agree with that? On
no,
the
I don't. Not
buying an island.
Not at all.
No, I don't. I think I don't think that most people would sit here and then start deciding like, oh well, we're not going to be able to prosecute. I mean, we're not going to come forward. I think most of the time when people come forward is because they believe their thing to be true. And again, we obviously recognize that like the barrier of truth is like there.
No, it's not. No. That's not what I'm saying though. But that's not the problem, Fanatic. Right? Not that they don't believe it's true. They believe it's true. Right? Those people believe it's true.
Well, that's
but
what
they
I
can
was
be
explaining.
intimidated.
I don't think it would be intimidating to a person who knows that this thing actually happened and also recognizes that the idea is that they would have to be proven to be intentionally lying about something that actually happened. You can't prove someone is intentionally lying about something that actually happened, even if you can't prove that thing happened. Furthermore, wait, Jesus. Lastly,
don't take his name in vain.
I got you. Thank you. Lastly, I think that the idea is, if that was the case, if we were going to use that argument, then no one would come forward with any accusations because the threat of perjury is already looming. But the threat of perjury isn't enough to dissuade people from coming forward with stories when they know they're telling the truth. It's enough to dissuade people from coming forward with stories when they know they're lying.
It's not just a threat of perjury. It's like being known as the liar. You'll lose social standing. You could potentially ruin your life. Just the way they would ruin the men's life for being called a rapist.
I was gonna say, like when you look at chronic rapists like Harvey Weinstein or even Jeffrey Epstein and whoever he was connected with,
they'll attack the woman.
No, we said actual like convicted and known rapists.
No, I mean, but that's fair. No, I mean he was convicted. He was convicted of his rape. Yeah, I mean.
Wait, was Bill with zero forensic evidence?
Yeah, but he's a convicted felon, right? Like that.
No, he's not.
Rapist, Bill Cosby.
He's not. He's not a convicted felon. No.
Oh, yeah. He got off on that technicality, correct?
Yeah. No. It's not just a technicality. He got off on like a complete violation of his civil rights and a complete lack of forensic evidence. And the original prosecutor that first got the case literally said that he would not take it to trial because he knew that there was no evidence. He admitted there was a complete lack of forensic evidence, and he also admitted that the only witness to the actual supposed crime was a person who had completely changed her story to him. So the prosecutor who literally went out of his way to supposedly try to get her justice literally admitted that there was no forensic evidence, and he knew that this was an unwinnable trial, and still they tried to violate this nigga's civil rights.
That was the point was that like he was looking for an example of a rapist, so I gave him Bill Cosby. That's fine. But
I hate you.
Hey, Prime, I'm just curious. What do you think about the people that are getting accused? Right, they go to jail for X amount of years, and then they prove that it was a lie, and then they're free of getting out of jail. So shouldn't that female who accused get the same amount of years?
Yeah. Hold on.
No.
Sure.
Yeah,
you want to do that?
Well, maybe.
Sure. Hold on. But here's the problem. Right?
What's the problem?
I have no love for false accusers. Right? I've gone on a rant multiple times on this channel talking about the disgusting thing that happened at, I believe it was the University of Virginia, right? A few years back. That was in Rolling Stones, right? Rolling Stones published this hit piece on this frat talking about this alleged rape that happened there that was disgusting, right? And it captured national headlines. Like, look at this rape that happened at University of Virginia. How could the administrators let this thing happen? How could this girl suffer from these frat members gang raping her, right? Until the moment that anyone else, like Washington Post sent a reporter there, the moment that anyone poked around that story, the entire thing fucking fell apart, right? And then the woman who made the accusation and the woman who, like, the reporter, who was a stenographer for this woman, who wrote this down as a fucking report when it was one of the most embarrassing pieces of quote-unquote journalism I've ever fucking seen, right? Yeah, they just got to walk away from this. That woman, it's like she's just not working at Rolling Stone, but she's working other places, right? As we should take her seriously, the journalist, right? And we still don't know the identity of the woman who cried rape there, right? So I have no love for that, right? Like, if you know my personal history here, I don't have love for people making false accusations. So let's not get it twisted, all right? I got you. But the reason why I'm pushing back against this specifically, right, is because while I think those people who are disgusting, making false accusations and walking the fucking away from it, while I think those people are disgusting, I don't want to scare individuals who actually have a case to be made, right? Who are telling the truth. So my response to you, Fanatic, previously was going to be, you were saying that, hey, well, you know, if you have the truth in your, basically, right, your argument is you have the truth in your side, you have nothing to worry about. But Fanatic, in every other situation, when we are talking about the U.S. criminal justice system, we talk about how people get caught up, right? We talk about how black men get caught up all the time with bullshit they didn't actually do, right? That extends to black women. That extends to many people who, like, because in this country, the more money you have, the more justice you get, right? The more justice you can afford. That happens on every other case. So you're saying that this is a special exception?
Well, it's not that it's a special exception. I guess we should probably compare it to what's already existing in the criminal justice system now and look at the fact that right now there's already punishment for lying in court, which is called perjury. And it's exceedingly rare that there's a prosecution or enforcement of that. And it's not like this thing never happens. We know niggas be lying on that, but the ability to prove that somebody didn't make a mistake or didn't truly believe what they were saying is really, 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 really difficult. So for that, that's why that's why it shouldn't be a deterrent, because we still have a working criminal justice system where there's already punishment for false accusations in different ways, yet it doesn't stop like people from testifying. So I don't know why we would all of a sudden say, but if we make it where there's a specific punishment for rape, that it's going to make people stop testifying about rape. That's crazy.
If we could prove that it was, let's just say somehow we could prove, like, give you data, that it was a deterrent. Well, would that change your mind if that was the case?
I'm going to say probably not, and here's why. I think that obviously we should the way I believe, I think that you believe in a system that should do the least amount of harm possible, right? Like, well, I forget what the name of that theory was, where it's like that it's better that a thousand innocent men go free than that a guilty man, or that a thousand guilty men go free than that an innocent man goes to prison, right? And I'd say that, so if this means that we'll get less accusations like against people, but we'll also get less false accusations, so that an innocent man isn't getting his life ruined for some false accusation, I think that that's absolutely worth it. And I also think it's absolutely reprehensible that we would say, yeah, you know, maybe you should only get half of the time for the thing that you were going to be serving. Why only half? I don't know why we wouldn't do more than that. Like, why is it that we're talking about right now, you can accuse a man of rape in California, you can take 10 years away from him if he's convicted, but you get 6 months if we prove that you lied. 6 months for lying on a person, 10 years if he's sentenced. How are these things comparable? Sick.
That is the fair point.
For me, it's the idea of if you
maybe instead of creating a special, you got it, Wiggle. Oh, he just went away. Maybe if instead of creating a special law for rape, you could create a worse penalty just for the false accusation. Like, false accusations are proportionate to the, like, oh, if you did a false accusation of something that would have been, and who can disagree with that, right?
Whoa, you're thinking,
yeah.
get the fuck out.
I
Your
think
audio.
you don't want it to be like
your
Want
internet
it to be rigidly defined. You don't want their
of those years. I think that would be more intuitive. It makes
your internet is making you robotic.
So I don't know what's going
I don't
on.
think you want to rigidly define like proportion, simply because like that's assuming that the victim even wants what the prosecutor wants. The victim could just want the person to be like defamed to some percent. Like they may not even care if the person's there for 15 years, 10 years, what have you. That's just on the prosecutor. So then the idea that you could face like 5 years or something if it goes back on you, you may not even care that much. At that point, you'd be like, this is terrible, it happened to me. but I fear this person or their power. I don't want to go to 5. I don't want to even risk 5 years. If just me and my family know, that's good enough for me. So that's
even
why
the
I think
rumor is destructive. The rumor
but,
has like serious implications as well.
what do you mean, the rumor on which side?
Just an accusation is devastating. An accusation can be an extremely damaging thing. Just in itself, just an accusation to be made of any kind of sexual impropriety or rape or assault in any way.
Yeah, but I think like when it comes to those accusations, right, that'd be like if you publish it or something, that'd be defamation, and it wouldn't be like proportional to like whatever the crime you're saying. It'd be like a separate crime, right?
A separate crime from what? Slander?
You would, no, it'd be a separate crime from like if you're saying they murdered someone, or if you said they committed sexual assault, and then saying that if it is that sexual assault, whatever the amount of years someone can serve, we're gonna take a percentage of that. Like, we're going to take 50% of that, and that's what you will serve. Whereas, like, defamation could just be its own crime that has its own amount of years that you could be serving.
Okay. I don't know. I hadn't thought of it that way, I guess. You're saying, like, serve, like, basically, if you make a false accusation of a crime, we could say, we're talking about a sex crime, but any crime, then you are serving a proportion of that crime.
No, I'm saying
if it's false, if it's false.
I'm saying that is what's being proposed. I don't agree with that. You should just have these separated. Like, if someone falsely accuses someone, it shouldn't be like it's a percentage of the other person's, like, what you were accusing the person of. That's the percentage that you might actually be serving yourself. It should just be a separate crime for, like, false accusations, and then you can serve a separate sentence. If you guys don't like 6 months,
the difference
then the
is
idea would be raising that, you know?
Yeah, I would say as opposed to
the
that,
difference
go ahead,
between
sorry.
those two. I'll make it quick. I think the difference between those two is one is it's one thing if I go to the DA and try to get you convicted of something, and it's another thing if I just go to the public square and accuse you of something with no criminal attachment. So in one hand, if it's just a civil matter, it goes to a civil case and it's defamation. It's another thing if I try to get you convicted of something, now it's false accusation.
I would also say that, like, I think that it's really important that I say we obviously recognize that a crime should be relative to the amount of damage that you're trying to do. For example, like, we obviously have increased punishment for if you were just to steal only 200 from something, then it might just be petty theft. But once you get past a certain limit, it's grand larceny. Same exact crime, just a difference in value, right? I would say in the same sense, if you're just doing something like you're perjuring like someone about a misdemeanor, like, hey, you know, he slapped me or something, like that might be a misdemeanor or something. But once you start going to a felony, something like rape, then at this point, then the charge should be something more relative to that. And I also think that, like, it makes all the sense in justice that the thing that you try to do to a person should be somewhat, the justice that is done to you should be based on what you try to do to a person. For example, if I assault a person, then my crime is going to be for the punishment of assault. However, if I murder someone, then my punishment can be capital punishment. An eye for an eye, in a way, right? And I would say that when you've done something, like you've tried to end a person's life, which we all recognize that accusations of rape are something that are entirely debilitating, besides the 10 years, the registering of a sex offender, the like limitation and restrictions of where you can live, because you can't live in any schools, right? Like, I mean, we're near any schools, right? And of course, every suburb is pretty much really close to schools, so now you can't live in suburbs. You're forced to live in rural areas. Like the cost it costs to the restitution fees, all of these things, the scarlet letter that is a permanent felony that's going to basically make nobody want to hire you because you're not just a felon, but also a registered sex offender, right? It's going to like ruin your dating prospects, aside from the 10 years that they've already taken away from you and the possible rape you're going to be experiencing in prison and all of the other like nonsense that's going to be happening to you within that obvious hellhole. I think all of this stuff, it seems like you're literally trying to destroy a man's life. You're trying to destroy his life. He'll probably never be able to get a job to be able to sustain himself afterwards. So then now they're just stuck, right? You've literally ended their life. And so now we're saying, but 6 months is cool. Or you know what? I mean, it shouldn't be as harsh, maybe 7 months. For everything else, if you tried to end someone's life, we would charge you with attempted murder. And that carries crazy time with it, right? Attempted murder is OD. Now, this might not be literal murder, but you've tried everything to effectively, socially end this person's life. And not just socially, from economically as well. So the idea that we would just say, maybe we should be a little bit whatever, maybe kind of come with some specific, it's like, no. It should be very relative. If it was up to me, it would be a 1-to-1. because you literally tried to end his life. So since you tried to end this man's life, we should go ahead and give you the exact punishment that would have been given to him had you actually got away with this, because you tried to destroy him.
I also think that we could start looking, and I think there was some of you guys made the same point of like starting to look at, okay, if you're falsely accusing someone that's considered a misdemeanor, that you get charged with that misdemeanor. But if you accuse someone of a felony crime, guess what? Now you get charged with a felony because one, the punishment is more severe, and two, it's going to make you, think about what you're doing too, because a lot of the times people just falsely accuse people just because they don't like them. Regardless if it's like rape, regardless if it's like money laundering, anything like that too. So that could be something.
I don't know if that's true, because like it's extensive to just.
It's just the base. True. Like the more complex stuff is always going to be the part that is going to stump everybody. But I'm talking about just like as a base, like that could be something to go off of, where it's just like, hey, this is what we could do for now until we can get the intricate details out of the way. So we have a nice format of properly making sure people who make these false accusations are also accounted for.
So I want to give I want to give our friend Wiggle, because like what Fanatic said was mostly directed at him. I want to give him a chance. I'd like to also respond at some point, but Wiggle, please.
I mean, there's two things. I think like I believe if you serve time and then you're like exonerated, right? Don't you have the ability to sue the state? I mean, I don't think that doesn't put somebody in like a prison, but you get some level of compensation if you can win that case, right? And then other than that, speaking of like the relativity, I agree with you. Like that's something that I would want in an eventuality. The thing that I'm concerned of it is that that empowers people that are just wealthier in general. It makes it so that people who get, like Prime was saying, more justice because they have more money are now in a better position when it comes to like dealing with individuals who come out against them. Like I think that the idea that it's poor people, or there's the idea that it's younger people, which he didn't purport, but or the people that are like doing the raping, or the people going around and committing these crimes, like they're not the ones that bought an island. It's the wealthy people that are getting away with this. It's wealthy people that are engaging in human trafficking, that are buying people, etc. And then they're getting away with it right now. So it's like, for me, it's like to create a system that creates some level of deterrent that will then aid wealthier people. We have to account for that. But once we account for that, then I'd be okay with what you're saying.
Right. I agree with that too.
Wait, but that's not newly aiding that. This isn't anything that's already different. Like already right now, our system works such that if you're more wealthy, you're more able to defend yourself from accusations. Obviously, a huge amount of like the differences in sentencing and things depends on the type of representation you have in the court, right? Like the ability to have a lawyer as opposed to a public defender. So this thing that I'm proposing doesn't invite any brand new or unique forms of like resistance or benefits towards wealthy people that aren't already in like an inherent part of our criminal justice system. This isn't a new thing. So why are we talking about this like that's some brand new deterrent? It's the same exact thing. Let that rock.
It's the proportionality. It's just the argument of like adding it so that it's like you guys were saying like maybe half the crime. So if it's like you get, let's say 35 years for like a murder or something, that you would take that and you'd be like, you're gonna get 17 years if like you falsely accuse this person of committing a murder or something, and then it was or something to that extent. That's my issues, like that proportionality. That's about it.
What about the proportionality? You're saying that proportionality is going to be determined by whether or not you have good representation or not?
No, I believe the proportionality in itself acts as the deterrent. Having a strict proportionality acts as a deterrent.
Oh, good. Absolutely. And I think the entire purpose that we're talking about right now of even introducing this is specifically to introduce some sort of deterrent from people coming up with false accusations. That's the whole point.
Yeah, I would agree with you if we already didn't have a structure that was already acting as the deterrent against people.
No, it's clearly
false accusations. accusations.
It's clearly ineffective again, and it needs to be relative, because obviously, like, sure, maybe some people are unwilling to perjure themselves, more successful people and things like that, but when it comes to things like rape and stuff like that, it's not particularly a really big deterrent, because right now the thing is, like, what, you're gonna get, like, what, 6 months? I don't think that's a relative deterrent to trying to end someone's life. I think it needs to be more relative, and I think, and also it's a little bit more punitive, and I think it just makes sense. Like, I don't know, again, why we would say, well, we already got a thing of perjury, and I don't know whose audio that is.
Dawn needs I think
Dawn,
she
you
has
gotta
a stream on too. Yeah.
Yeah, Dawn, mute the stream. I'm gonna mute you for a second, okay? All right.
Thank you. And then finally, I think when you look at it, you think, what's it called? Oh, frick, I'm sorry, I almost forgot my point. It's that, one, yes, it's supposed to be a deterrent. It's a good deterrent. Like, anything that's gonna, like, dissuade people from going forward with something like this actually makes sense. Part of the criminal justice system is punitive in nature, and I think it's an accurate punishment to say relative to the damage you were doing is what we'll actually charge you with. So I think that's also a benefit. Dang it, I don't remember the other thing, but that's fine.
It'll come back to you, and we'll give you space. All right, so I wanted to engage with you a little bit. Sorry, you know what? Before I do that, I want to make sure Wiggle has gotten all his points out. So Wiggle, please.
Oh, with the idea that it's good that it's like you have this deterrent in place because it would lead. You're saying that this would lead to more justice, as we've like both agree on the sense of justice. I think like that's the hope. That's the hope, right? Like but we already discussed that you seem to, you're a men's right activist as well, right? So like in that sense, you already acknowledge that people don't even come forth with accusations at the rates that they should be. People don't even come forth with like people who are honest people who believe that they were sexually assaulted and they feel like this happened to them, and without a reason of a doubt don't even come forward at the rates that we want. And then to add a deterrent on top of that is like that's problematic for me, because we're not even at that point yet where we're dealing with so many of these accusations, so many of these like.
No, that's not a real problem, because let me just pair it back to you what you just said, and I don't think this is even pejorative. You're basically saying, well, we want more people. It's okay that people we have no real deterrence for false accusations, because right now because we still want more people to come out that to come forward with accusations, with real accusations. So it's okay that people can lie right now, because our goal is to get more people to be able to.
That's not necessarily the case, because like there is a deterrent, and I didn't say it's not a real deterrent. It's just not.
Clearly, it's inadequate, right? And clearly, it's not relative. And clearly, if your entire justification is centered around the idea that, like, I'm sorry, if the thing that you're saying is a justification for not moving in this direction is specifically the fact that we don't have enough people coming forward with rape accusations as it is, then it does seem like you're now weighing the two. You're weighing the idea that the idea that punishing false rape accusations, you're weighing that against the idea of wanting more people to come forward, and that clearly don't right. And those things, one, are not necessarily related at all, and two, even if they were related, I don't think you should ever justify like delaying disincentives from false accusations behind the idea of trying to get more people to come forward. Those two things should not ever be used for each other.
But isn't that what we do in general? Like if we want to move towards like a more progressive law or what have you, we stop a level of prosecution on something. Like you'll have like if there's a city where everybody who's like a larger percentage of black people in particular may be like getting arrested for something, whereas other people are not, and then you'd have like the judge will say, we're going to just throw out these cases, we're not going to.
Sure. So what you're talking about is in the interest of justice, but you would never. I don't know of any situations where you delay justice because you crave another unrelated justice. So in other words, it would be like saying we're going to stop prosecuting drug crimes because we want because we want something unrelated. I don't know. I think that because these things are not necessarily related, or I don't know. I can't come up with a good enough example. But yes, this injustice. You're trying to justify not doing something that will lead to more justice, right? more justice for actual victims. So you're saying we're going to delay the justice for these victims because we want more people to come forward. That just doesn't make sense. That does not make sense to any sane person.
But before I go on, we have a newest person, Dawn. Can you hear me, Dawn? I'm gonna unmute you. We had a lot of background noise from you. It sounded like you had the stream open. Maybe mute my stream. I'm gonna have to close it and mute it. But mute my stream, and so that we can have you participate. So I'm gonna unmute you and let's see if you have anything else to say. I do want to engage Fanatic, but I want to be a good host. Dawn, you here?
Yeah, I got the fan and stuff going. I mean, as a woman who has been in a relationship that was abusive and was in, that realm, you don't know what's going on in a relationship unless you're in it. And sometimes it's hard to prove what exactly has gone on if you don't have a way out of the house, or you don't have a phone to use, and you don't get to even call the cops until the next day. So, this false accusations and all of this stuff, I mean, it can be a false accusation. It just maybe an accusation that can't be proven.
Perfect. I think that's a really, really great statement, and I want to make sure that these things are really clear. There's a very large difference between a false accusation and an unprovable accusation, right? Because in order for you to get a false accusation, right, like for you to punish that, you would have to prove that a person knowingly and intentionally provided false information. This would be a situation where somebody like provided something that they truly believed to be true, right? But that wasn't true. But they were mistaken. Those things would not count as an intentional false accusation. It's the same way that like right now where we have things where it's like involuntary manslaughter as opposed to murder, right? Or how we'll have different degrees of murder in different states where it's like the intent to murder someone versus maybe a mistake where you'll have just negligence, right? Negligence can result in someone's death, but it's not the same thing as murder. So in the same sense, you can have situations where someone truly believes that they're like accounting for things in an appropriate way, but then the state finds that that's not accurate. That's a very big difference between someone knowingly and intentionally falsely accusing someone where we can prove that they had intent to extort that person or something like that.
Then I agree with you. That explains like the disconnect, because you're viewing it as like I'm hurting victims to help like others, and then that's allowing certain people that are like doing these. I didn't understand what you were saying until you say that. Like that makes a lot more sense. Like I thought you were saying in a sense, if I were to go to court and then I was to make a claim that somebody like sexually assaulted me, and then I gave all the evidence I could, and I was asked to testify or what have you, and then afterwards I was proven wrong, then that lines me right up to have one of these like charges against me and someone to come after me. But you're saying that that wouldn't be the case unless it was shown that I was like there was some level of like malicious intent or something. Like I knew that changes a lot.
Sure.
We all know that people can assault another person and not leave any evidence of assaulting that person.
Sure.
Is a way to hit people where you don't leave bruises, things like that.
I don't know that shit.
So,
I'm not an abuser.
Well, I studied Krav Maga and stuff like that, so yes, there are a lot of ways that you can actually hurt somebody without leaving any evidence of hurting them.
Mm-hmm. You attacked their dick
and
size.
I was before I 20 years ago when I was in the relationship that I was in, and was beaten down emotionally until the point where I got beaten physically. By the time I got physically beaten, I was so emotionally down that I was thinking like I deserved it. And that's what happens in an abusive relationship. I'm not talking about like a one-time thing or a Harvey Weinstein thing where it's an over and over and over thing with different women. I'm talking about a relationship between, say, a man and a woman or a woman and a woman, and whether it's her beating him up, him beating her up, it gets to the point where they have beaten you down emotionally to the point where, you know, everybody's like, why don't you leave? It's like, well, he's only doing it because he loves me.
Okay, it sounds like
And
you're just kind of
it's that
describing.
point.
I get you. It sounds like you're kind of just describing the culture, where like the culture in abusive relationships that kind of leads towards like on a kind of a codependence and other negative things. Can you help me relate this towards false rape accusations?
Well, when I got to the point where I literally knocked him out because I
Damn.
couldn't get, he picked me up and he literally threw me across the room. And I gave him a throat punch. I had to. It was the only thing I could do. And I did. I knocked the wind out of him. I knocked him out. He was out for about 30 seconds. And I just gave me time to get into the bedroom and get the bureau in front of the door. And I didn't have a phone. I was on the 3rd floor. I couldn't jump out the window. There was nowhere I could go. There was nothing I could do.
Damn, did you think you killed him when the like?
Wait,
he got knocked out?
stop. Wait, can you help me relate this towards false rape accusations?
Well, because there were no bruises on me, when I went to the cops, I ended up spending a night in jail. Not him.
So you went to the
Because
cops.
he had a mark on him and I didn't.
Okay, so again, that still doesn't have anything to do with false rape accusation. What that has to do with is the idea that whenever there's like signs of, or whenever there are accusations about domestic abuse, the police will do their best to try to assess who did the abuse, and if they see marks on one individual related that seem related to abuse, then that person, whoever was the abuser, whoever they determined to be the abuser, goes to jail. So it sounds like what you're just talking about. You're right. Well, I mean, in this situation, that seems like exactly how it played out.
It turns into a he said, she said.
He said, she said, and he has marks. So in this case, it's not just he said, she said. They're looking for some sort of evidence in order to prove which one happened. And in this case, he had marks and you didn't. So it sounds like some people, like what you're just talking about, is that some people can be abusive in such a nefarious way, in such a pernicious way, that they don't leave marks. So therefore, if there's any accusations, they're the ones that don't go to jail. Again, this has nothing to do with false rape accusations. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask you a question to make sure that we're on the same page really quick. In your situation, if he had been abusing you and sexually assaulting you for whatever amount of time, but did everything in his power and successfully not to leave any evidence whatsoever of that, and you went to the police and told them that he sexually assaulted you, what do you think would happen given the thing that I'm proposing right now? What would happen to you?
What would happen to me? I mean, if there was no proof, then probably nothing would have happened either way.
Wow.
They would have gone to him, asked his side of the story, talked to me, got my side of the story, and then kind of said, well, you know what, all washes. That would be it.
Perfect. I love it. I'm so glad that you were astute enough to catch that. I wasn't sure. This is my first time interacting with you. Very sharp. So yes, that's exactly the point. So because you don't have any evidence of your whatever, then that means you wouldn't be getting hit with a false rape accusation. Because just because you don't have evidence, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, right? And absence of evidence is also not evidence of intent, right? And so we can't sit here and say just because we don't know that we don't have evidence of something happening, you intended to falsely accuse this person. So I think for sure, like, then maybe you would agree with me in cases where we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt, like we have like the barrier of proof that we already have for criminal cases.
If there is malicious intent on falsely accusing somebody, then yes, there should be a consequence.
Right, a severe consequence relative to whatever they were accusing a person of, right?
There is a difference between maliciously accusing someone and accusing someone because you don't have any evidence of the fact that it happened.
Good. So we're on the same page
when you
then.
draw that line, how do you figure out what that line is and what happens to who?
Predetermined by the case that happened before.
Sure, and or you look at the fact that like already that we already have what the goal is of intent. Mens rea, I believe, is what it's referred to as, where you have to be able to prove someone literally chose and consciously decided to do something. That's what intent is. So again, now these kind of things can be done in letters, where it's like, you know what, man, I want to leave this guy, and you text somebody and you say, I'm going to leave this guy, and my way of doing so is by doing X, right? Or for example, I have a good buddy named Mike Z who was falsely accused of being like sexually awkward with different people, and now of course it's going to trial, and now we have all of these freaking messages left by these individuals where we can see where they literally said, we're going to fabricate these things in order to go ahead and take his business from him. So when you have that sort of evidence where you have people that you know are intentionally doing these things, they literally plotted this thing and planned it out in their own freaking message board where they were like actually deciding what they were going to do and how they were going to get him. That's when you have intent. Or where you have things like the tape for the very first Michael Jackson accuser, where the dad is calling him and saying, yeah, you're going to give us X amount of money or we're going to destroy you. Those sort of things start leading towards intent. Or when you have situations like that person, I forget what her last name was. It was Cooper. You know, that trailer park, not trailer.
Amy
I'm
Cooper.
sorry.
Amy Cooper who called in the hit squad on
on the guy inside of Central Park. Yeah, where she says specifically, well, I'm going to call the police and I'm going to tell them that a black man assaulted me, right? Those kinds of things. And when you can see that she literally changes her voice and fabricates, says, I'm in danger, da, 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 da. That kind of stuff, that is obviously intentional. I think you need evidence, just like you would for any other case. I'm glad that you understand what evidence is. So in this situation, you would need evidence that a person intentionally did it. And if you don't have that evidence, then you can't go forward with the case.
Well, just because you don't have evidence doesn't mean you can't go forward with a case.
Well, actually, in most jurisdictions, prosecutors
try.
Well, and prosecutors in places like Pennsylvania, the place where Cosby wasn't tried, they didn't go forward specifically because of the fact that they didn't have good evidence, and it's literally illegal for a prosecutor.
No, they didn't go forward in the Cosby case because.
No, let me finish my statement. You'll understand. Trust me, I'm 100% right here. If you let me finish my sentence, I promise you, they didn't go forward with the case because it is illegal for a prosecutor to go forward with a case that they don't believe that they can win. That is the reason why Castor actually listed out the reasons why he didn't think he could win. Therefore, he wasn't going to be taking me to trial. The two specific things were, one, the absence of forensic evidence, and the only witness that was present giving two different testimonies and changing their stories. That's why he said, with no forensic evidence and this being our only witness, we won't be able to win this trial. So therefore, it was illegal for him to try to take it to trial anyway, which is why he tried to go ahead and find some workaround through the civil case. So in this case, prosecutors aren't allowed to go forward and waste the state's money and bring things towards trial that they know that they can't win or that they know that they don't have sufficient evidence for. And if you can prove that, then they can be fined, they can lose their positions, and so on and so forth. The state can literally be sued. It can be ridiculous. So yeah.
Let me ask you a question about that. Did you watch the whole entire trial? Did you read the whole entire transcript? How do you know all that you know about the Cosby trial? Just by the outcome?
No, I read quite a bit. I don't think the outcome ever detailed the fact that Castor listed the reasons why he wasn't going to try the person, or the fact that the FBI actually investigated Cosby's house, and when they tested the pills that Cosby had provided to her with her knowledge, they found the pills to be Benadryl, which he said it was, which she willingly took. So that's why I know that, because I've actually read into the case and I read Castor's case and I saw the investigation.
That was one accuser out of
that was the primary case that they used the deposition for to try to try him, and that was I believe is the case that all the other false accusers used to try to justify, or I'm sorry, that's what they used to come up with their stories. That is what they modeled their accusations after.
Well,
I didn't want to focus in on the Cosby case.
I'm sorry, I don't want to relitigate innocent Cosby either. Let's move forward to something else. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
What about the woman
who Presley is an angel.
Accused Brett Kavanaugh?
Oh, the woman who accused Brett Kavanaugh?
Yeah.
No, Monique Presley. You don't know who Monique Presley is?
Monique Presley.
Oh my goodness,
I don't know. I kind of felt like Kavanaugh was guilty, but I didn't pay a huge amount of attention. But there was a lot of damning evidence.
I think
that man guilty, but it's petty. It's petty.
I think he's probably guilty, but I think it wasn't properly investigated. That the I know the FBI didn't bother. They said they were going to have an investigation for a certain number of days, right? They didn't even do that, right? It was a short investigation any which way, but they didn't even bother that. You went to the witnesses. The witnesses said, yeah, the FBI never even contacted me. The relevant people weren't contacted by the FBI. They literally did not take it seriously.
He had investigated Kavanaugh for
Ford.
multiple judgeships.
He's talking about Ford. Ford
Some
versus
of those
Kavanaugh.
were
Was he
fabricated.
Ford?
Oh,
Oh my
okay. I
god,
see.
the woman was an idiot.
I disagree with that, but okay, sorry.
Yeah, there was some fabrication there for sure.
Sorry,
I absolutely. You're gonna have to give me evidence of that shit. But to Fanatic, right? Okay, so first of all, you say that like I can't. I'm not the type to give ground. I give ground, right? So Fanatic, I think you're right. Once you stated your case, I think you're right talking about the consequences for a false rape accusation in terms of like the amount of time. I thought you made a beautiful case, and that like not a beautiful one, a pretty sad one, I guess, but that like the consequences to a man for being hit with that are just so severe, so incredibly severe, that like it would be justice if that person faced a similar type of sentencing. The person getting a false rape accusation. I'm okay with that. I think maybe a response to that some people might use is that, you know, well, we have so little rape application, so this is kind of trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist. But then I would respond that we don't actually have accurate statistics as to how often like false rape allegations happen. And one way or the other, if they're happening, is something that we should be stopping, right? So I'm with you, brother. I'm here.
Prime,
Okay.
Prime, it's rare. It's rare that you get that smile of respect from me on this level. It's rare because, you know what I'm saying, you're a leftist and you know how much I can't stand them. But I think that that's actually facts, and no one ever quotes that. That's the leftist talking point, and you know it. That like, oh well, there's only 2% of cases and all this other nonsense, which we don't actually have good data for about like how much false rape accusations is. And I love you for stating that. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to make my friend smile.
I just wanted to come in and tell my story and get that out there, that not all allegations that aren't provable are false.
Fair enough. Thank you so much for that. We do appreciate it.
Alright, so you guys have a good night. Thank you for allowing me on the panel tonight, Prime.
Absolutely.
And
we'd love to have you
I don't know
again
how
in the
many
future.
months I don't know how many months I've subscribed to you, but I've only been on the panel a couple of times, but I do appreciate you.
I'm glad tonight was your first.
Yeah. Come back, please, in the future. We'd love to have you.
Definitely will. Thank
Bye.
you so much.
Bye, Dawn.
Bye.
You left your mark on the panel.
Yeah, she did. One of the things I think she brought up too was like something in the future that kind of struck something with me is like the idea of Stockholm syndrome too, because she was describing a lot of the mental aspects of like mental abuse that, you know, makes people like retract their statements sometimes when they come out, and that's something that I think could be looked into in the future.
So I wanted to finish my point.
Okay, I gotta figure out how to get out of the Discord now.
I'll help you out. But thank you so
Alright,
much.
thanks. You have a good night.
I didn't mean to cut her off. Oh shit.
It's fine. She was just saying you have a good day.
Yeah. Okay. So, but before we go down these other rabbit holes, I just want to finish my point to my friend Fanatic. Okay. So Fanatic, on those points, I think you've made a really compelling case that the consequences for a man are just so severe, and that we want to discourage that. And I guess my sticking point is all the stories I hear from individuals have something to report, and the institutional barriers that they face. I am remiss to like put anything else there that could be a barrier. And look, you can say all these things and that like it's rare that a person will be hit with like perjury or anything like that, that these things are hard to prove, but to a person who is scared, who is unsure of themselves, who is facing a justice system that has been vicious to women, I think you would agree with that too, right? That having this hang over their head, right? Like this could easily scare a person. Like you can, like, so a good faith individual like you.
Wait, how is the justice system been vicious to women?
Oh boy, we love you, Wiggle.
No, I'm not memeing. I'm like the worst
question.
is that it's the people that are vicious to women. Like it's the people that were attacking Amber Heard, etc. It's the people that are coming after these cases and saying that. Like how's the judicial system
I'll
favors
answer
women?
your question. I'll answer your question, right? When you have police officers, when you have, well, we can look at the fucking Larry Nassar case when the FBI came to investigate. And like they made it clear, those FBI agents, that they didn't actually take the women seriously when they were saying like, yeah, this guy's been assaulting us. So this is the gymnast case, right? The U.S. gymnast case. That this man has been assaulting us, and like please do something. Like we're asking for help. Then those agents went back and then they lied about it, right? They lied about what was in that case. And then the justice system did not stop this dude, right? Did not actually intervene for months afterwards. So like, and this is so that's on the police side, right? So the police showed up, and the police like one didn't believe them, and then lied about the things they reported. Okay, so that's that. Then on the prosecutor's side, prosecutors decide not to go forward on these cases all the time, no matter what the evidence. Talking about fucking Weinstein, right? Before Weinstein got caught up, an incident that actually caught him up, I forget exactly which one did it, right? But there was that case where a woman, a model, she was an Italian model, if I believe it or not, right? If I remember correctly, she has some like weird incident, like a terrible incident with Harvey Weinstein. She goes to the police immediately, right? And the police are like, what? This shit is crazy. Let's wiretap you and send you back in. And she agrees to that. She goes back in and she has proof. She goes to his room and she gets proof. And she will present that to the police, and then nothing happens, right? Because not the police in this case were the ones who were like being proactive, but it was the prosecutor. The prosecutor was on the Harvey Weinstein side. I think he had either taken money from him or something. I don't want to spread false information, but there was some sort of relationship between him and Harvey Weinstein, and they didn't prosecute. They had the tapes. And then prosecute. So yeah, the justice system has been vicious to women.
It has been vicious in those instances. But how many people, like, look at the percentage of men that are in prison, and look at the men that are on no-fly lists, like in relation to women in general. Look at the crimes like that are done with men to men. Using,
why are you making a comparison here?
You're making the comparison.
Well, bro, I can answer that.
No, he didn't make a comparison. He didn't make a comparison. He just said it was the fact that it was vicious to women. He didn't say it was vicious.
He didn't say it in a comparative way, but of course, if you say but that's fine. No, it's fine. But if you make the statement that something is vicious, right, like something that already exists, and we know what the system is, then that means that we would think that there'd be some sort of qualification for that being vicious. For instance, I mean, and I would say if we know that this system, which is vicious indeed, I will say that, particularly to black people, particularly to black men. Absolutely. So if we know that, then when you make the statement that it is vicious to women, and I guess when we already know how like that the system is actually more favorable to women than men, then it makes it sound like we have to think, well, specifically white women and on top of it, and the black women. Then I think I'm positive. So then we have to figure out, like, then what exactly is it like that? Like, what do you mean by vicious to women? What do you mean by that?
Okay, well, I gave examples.
Oh, you gave an example of an individual corruption case, but you would say that in general that the system is significantly more favorable to women than to men.
Not when it comes to sexual assault cases, no. I think in other cases, yes. In fact, I agreed earlier.
Well, let's go ahead and let's explore that just a tiny bit, because I think we're all aware of the fact that sexual assault cases against men are not taken seriously at all. In fact, there are plenty of cases where men have gone to police stations with sexual assault cases and they've laughed at them. That's significantly worse than what happens.
I'm sorry. I don't know why you were making this comparison here. Please explain.
Well, because again, when you say
that,
because I asked you if the system was
vicious.
Because I asked you if the system was overall more vicious to men than it is to women, and you said not in sexual assault cases. So then I brought up the idea that we're all aware of the fact that sexual assault cases
you missed what I was trying to say there.
Serious by the system.
No, you missed what I was trying to say when I was, or maybe I misspoke. So it was one or the other. So I'm not trying to be duplicitous. So what I was saying was that when it comes to white women, the justice system tends to be more favorable, right? And that with black women, less favorable, right? And then
in comparison to white women, so the hierarchy is white women, black women, white men, black men.
If it's just black and white, yes.
No. Well, I mean, I guess you would also have to take into account wealth status too. But I'm sorry, this, I don't know why we're going down this route. This is not where I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to make a comparison. I don't know why you guys really want me to make a comparison here when I'm not trying to. I'm saying that our justice system, which is broken, which I have criticized on all these levels, every level you're describing, I've already criticized them. You've been here. Right? Most of the people here are regulars. You've been here. You heard my rant about whichever one you're talking about. Right? So I agree with you on all those levels. The point is we have a vicious justice system. I don't know why it's offending people that I'm saying that it's vicious to women, but yes, we have a vicious justice system. Great? Agreed? It's vicious in general? Is that true enough?
Sure.
Great.
I'd agree with that. I think that's an easy agree when you look at how many rape kits aren't even tested. Shit like that.
It's not taken seriously. Yeah, when you have rape kits fucking rotting in storage, right? Where and rapists being able to operate, if you had just tested the rape kit, that you would notice, hey, there's a pattern. We can see this DNA is the same across this rape kit. It's the same guy who's doing this. We have enough evidence to get him if we just took it seriously. So yeah, it's a vicious justice system.
The reason why we're
wealthy and especially white,
for sure, and women. The reason why we're comparing is specifically because literally the entire basis for this entire conversation has been comparing about specifically accountability for women, and then of course the entire time while I've been trying to talk about the accountability, the lack of accountability for women, there's been a non-stop recrimination by you guys about men. So then now, of course, we've been talking about this men-women comparison. So that's why now, when you start talking about how vicious the system is, and a system that is particularly vicious against men, even more so, the male viciousness, when compared to female viciousness, is so much worse.
Okay,
so
men are getting hurt more. Okay, got it. I got it. Men are getting hurt more. I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter.
I know you don't because it's men. That's why. I got you. At least we got you in 4K.
Fine. If it makes you happy, right? Look, I'll tuck you in bed, right? I'll give you a warm glass of milk. Anything to make you shut the fuck up. I got it. Thank you. So...
you guys are ridiculous.
I think you two are brothers for real. y'all fight like brothers. I swear.
What do you mean by brothers? What do you mean by that?
I'll take that.
For real.
That's a good guy.
I swear.
I wouldn't be offended by that. He's a good guy. All right.
Yeah.
So. Fuck, I'm trying to remember my original point now.
I got you, Prime. Your original point was that the system is particularly vicious to men, and that we don't hold accountability of women accountable the same way that we do men in our criminal justice system. That was your point, and I agree with you. You've been making good points all night, to be honest with you. So yeah, it's good job. Good job.
Okay, look, all right, I really,
sorry, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, you were talking about Harvey Weinstein, and specifically that the system is vicious towards women, and that even when the cases where we had when we had evidence of rape cases or sexual assault cases, like with Harvey Weinstein, that they still didn't do it. And so you're talking about the fact that women sometimes don't want to come forward with accusations because of the fact that the system doesn't actually prosecute those things. And I think that that's true, but we can't use that to justify the injustice of false accusations against men for rape. You can never try to justify. Oh, and I know you've already conceded that. You did concede that, so I don't know what other point you were making. Go ahead with that if you can remember now.
Okay, I'll try my best. Let's I guess, yeah, I was talking about barriers, putting barriers in place.
I disagree.
That's why I said
not
this.
fucking with you. Fucking with you.
and like talking about a system that has all these barriers that is so vicious, right? That a person facing that, being a woman facing all those barriers, it can be very easy to convince her, right, with that there is some punishment for a system that like tends to re-traumatize rape victims, right, men or women. It tends to re-traumatize them. You can easily see scenarios in which women decide, okay, like I'm going up against, especially a person who is of any sort of status within this community, that like they can strike back at me using these laws. That's the thing that I'm afraid of. But I think maybe it might be fair to say that, look, that for one possible injustice, in that like intimidating a woman into not doing this, whether you think she should be intimidated or not, but intimidating her to not doing this is a possible injustice, and the actual injustice of a false rape allegation, right? Those two things maybe aren't equal. And so like that false allegation that has been made in some case, right? We should maybe prioritize that and making sure that doesn't happen, rather than a theoretical woman not reporting. All right, so I'm just trying to, God, I can drag me all over the place. I'm like trying to reach out with an olive branch here. You guys coming at my neck. Like, what the fuck? All right.
That's what happened to me all day. Now I think you understand how it feels. And I wasn't trying to intentionally believe you. I did help you get back to the right point. I was trying to reach out to that olive branch, to that experience that we all have of that case where you're sitting there and trying to get a woman to say, did you do wrong? And you're just like, no, not really. I mean, in reality, it was just that time of the month. Or, I've been really stressed at work lately. Or in reality, you've treated me this way. So in reality, it's kind of your fault. Or, it's postpartum. Or whatever excuse. Or, you know what? Mercury's in retrograde right now. Whatever excuse they can talk about, or just you got to accept that because I'm a Virgo.
I'm the real victim here.
Right.
That's
or it's favorite. Really me. That's what the Cardi B excuse. You mean, yeah, look at what I had to do. I had to drug, rape niggas and have them have sex with transgender people against their will. Like, what the freak are we talking about? So yeah, that whole time when I was doing that and everybody was bringing up every obfuscation they could, man, it's infuriating. Because it's so painfully obvious to me. And it's like, wow, I can literally point out to you, say it to you. Like, this is what's happening. This is what you guys are going to continue to do. And they won't stop.
You bring up a good point, too, because, like, even the fact that she felt safe enough to say that testifies to that.
Yeah, a bunch of dudes out there with empty wallets looking at the screen like, she's talking about us. She's talking about us.
That was me.
Also, when Fnatic just made this point right here, it's scary to actually think that we have people out in the world that think like that like it's okay. Yep. And it's okay to cover up, and it's okay to make excuses. That's a mental health issue right there. If you think that it's okay, and it needs to be solved.
It's worse when you look at the position of like athletes. I know there was a case that happened near in New York that was like there was athletes that were accused of like having like run a train on this one individual, and then afterwards like she was proven to have it was a false accusation because she was just she wanted to get back at her boyfriend or hide it from like a potential boyfriend, and and then what do they get out of it? Like even if they're like in the court of public opinion or what have you, like they're free of that. The career is gone.
Even Kobe Bryant. Kobe.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's the exact same thing that's happened to black men. No, you're great. That exact same thing has happened to black men from white women, right? Saying that like the sex wasn't consensual, or that it didn't even happen at all, right? And they're trying to hide something else. Like that has happened to black men, and then from there, white violence has been used against us, right? Like,
Prime, your example right there. I have a link in the VC chat that Fnatic read about the same exact example you just spoke about, like real talk. Like
one of the craziest
the black man served 44 years of a white woman accusing him of rape, and he didn't do it at all, and they proved it, and she should have got 44 years. Now she should have got. She ain't gonna get nothing because of perjury, and perjury doesn't. Would you say Fnatic about perjury again? I'm sorry.
I mean, in a lot of cases, it's almost never enforced. It's never punished. It's never prosecuted. And then you look at like the Bryant person on that Emmett Till case.
Yeah.
She literally finally came forward and was like, "Yo, you know what? I lied and got that nigga killed." And all the subsequent damage that was done to all those black people in response towards this white guilt and this white pearl clutching or whatever the freak is that like they made everybody get all volatile and all that nonsense and all these people that lost their life, not just Emmett Till. She literally came forward and admitted that. What happened to her? Nothing.
And
no accountability.
It goes back to even what Wiggler was saying about the social repercussions. Because even if you don't get convicted, like everyone joked that Kobe Bryant was a rapist, but you look into that case, that chick stalked him from hotel to hotel. She got a room across from his room. She was her family knew that she was trying to see him, and then I wanted to have sex with him up until I didn't. Like what?
Kobe at least got to be Kobe. Like those student athletes I was talking about. They'll never have their careers because they lost like a year. They lost a year at a pivotal
100% at that pivotal stage. And I want to point out, by the way, that Rocky Mountain whore, she also like immediately after claiming to have been raped by freaking Kobe Bryant, immediately went and decided to start having more consensual sex with other people. Now, I don't know if you guys know anything about rapists, but I promise you they're not immediately like leaving from being raped to then going and having consensual sex with other people immediatly following that.
Didn't she have like 7 sperm samples in her vagina?
I think it was 3. It was three different sample, 3 different sperm samples from 3 different people in her panties. Now, the only way that you could probably account for something like that, I would say if somebody was gang raped, that kind of thing was happening. But she didn't make a claim that she was gang raped. She made a claim that she was raped, and then immediately went to have consensual sex with people immediately following that.
I'll say on that very specific point is that the behavior of people who have suffered asexual assault, right, does not follow a script that you might think it would follow, right? People react in all kinds of ways. Now, I'm not saying that it actually happened. I literally have no idea. I have no information on this case, so I don't fucking know. But I'm just saying that people think that a victim of sexual assault would have to do these things because if you were a victim of crime, that's how you would act, right? Or that's what you've seen in some made-for-TV movies. This is how women are supposed to react. But also, oftentimes, that is actually not the case. So I'm just putting that out there, all right? Sure. Any which way.
Yeah, we say the opposite, right? With like when it comes to that grooming stuff, we say that like people that were like assaulted when they're younger then become like there's a percentage that become people who assault later on in their life. Simply because they think that's how the interaction is supposed to go.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Oh, nope. I'm not going there. I love you, Wiggle. That was right. Yeah. That's accurate, and I'm not going to go any further.
Oh boy, no. All right. Anyway, way, everyone, like we've been doing this for fucking 8 hours. I don't want to do any more. But we will be back as always with more content. Hit that follow button right now. If you've been enjoying what we're doing, we've been doing a lot of stuff here, right? Hit that follow button right now. Make sure notifications are on so you know I'm going live to do this 6 nights a week. At this point, I'm always forgetting the number at this point. It doesn't even matter. All right, hit us up on our social media. We got Twitter where we tweet things. We got Discord where we do everything, including this. It's Hardness with the community. Be a part of the Discord. We'd love to have you to jump in. So jump into Discord. TikTok, we're posting clips, great clips of the show, and YouTube is where you find the buzz. Like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Because they're becoming a YouTube member, helping us out by hitting that join button. Okay.